Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 467th episode of the GeekVerse podcast, but more specifically and more importantly, the Morbius review. I am the living podcaster, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by
Dr. Kirklin Patzer. Patzer.
I'm the Adam Hartcaster, Dilmas.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Now, here I'm going to do something because this happened a few weeks ago on a newscast. I'm going to throw to Kirkland Patzer to give the links because, Dylan, I'm not sure if you heard newscast or not, but it was me and Kirkland do one, and I threw to him for the links, and oh man, did he buckle, and it was not good. So we got lots of stuff happening. April's going to be huge for us. Where can they find all that stuff, Kirkland?
Well, if you check out our URL link, GeekVerse.ca, I hope I'm getting that right. That's our home base, which has just links to everything, our Patreon, our Facebook, our Twitter. So go there for just a nice home feel of the GeekVerse podcast, and it'll just direct you to where you can get us. So
amazing.
That's like a cheat way to do it, I feel. I don't have to like give the exact link to each individual Twitter and Facebook because I always bungle those two up. I know Twitter's different from the Facebook, so thankfully we have GeekVerse.ca.
Twitter's the one outlier,
Yeah. And that is the best thing. If you go to the website that has everything, because the two things that have everything literally is the link in this podcast. So if you're listening and want to find anything we do, where to follow us, the Patreon, the podcast network, everything's there. But same as website. The website has lots of clickable links. So you can go there, and Taylor's designed it, so it's really good. But yeah, check out everything we're doing. We had a packed month. I can officially say, because the stats end at 8:30, that March was our biggest month ever for download. So a big congrats to you guys, gentlemen, and everybody. Thank you very much. And December was the record because obviously No Way Home came out, but I thought it'd be a little longer. But a good combination of Batman and Elden Ring and Moon Knight has just skyrocketed. So a big thank you to people that, whether you've been with us for a while or you've maybe hopped on No Way Home or Batman or Elden Ring, because it means a lot. And if you like what we do, there's tons of stuff we're talking about. How did Halo go tonight, Dylan? Because obviously I was at the theaters. How was episode 2?
It was fun. I feel like it was just very little happened. Like, it just feel like this. It moved the story just the smallest amount.
I'm excited to watch,
but it was still. I still enjoyed it enough. It was a fun discussion. So
I quickly popped in the review. I hadn't even seen the episode. That's how little interest I have in the series. Honestly, is even if they say something spoilery, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. So I hopped in there, dropped a couple comments. But
you did, a little risque comment for sure.
I'm excited, but you can check that out. You can check out Side Quest, which is every week as well. Obviously, it was Kirkland, Dylan, this league we've talked about, but next week, I believe Dante's back, right? I think yes. And then you guys, what are you reviewing? Because you also got lots of news. E3's dead again, and PlayStation Plus, but then you got a big main topic as well.
Yeah, that news, and then Weird West just came out, which is a game I'm very excited for because it's from the creative director of Dishonored and Prey, so very excited for his new indie game. And I just booted up. I just played 20 minutes before we hopped on here. It came out tonight. It's on Game Pass, so going to be reviewing that one. So it should be a fun episode.
Game Pass, such a godsend, it's a good thing. But we check out, if you're a big Marvel fan, Moon Knight just happened. We'll be doing that every week. Newscasts, Sonic will be next week. Sonic's next week. I should be also seeing Ambulance and Everything and Everywhere all at once. So check out, there's gonna be lots of reviews on the stations and channels. I don't know, we're never been a station, but we are now. And most importantly, head over to Patreon. You get ad-free exclusive early content, but that supports us. That's how you get new shows and new ideas, and you can send in reviews and topics and questions, all that good jazz. So as usual, review how it works around here. We're going to give you our overall thoughts, non-spoilers. So, because I know, I can tell you from our Discord that there's a lot of people that are on the fence of seeing this movie. So we will give you no spoilers, and then we will give you a transition. We'll tell you a break, and then you'll have to jump out or just stay along for the ride. So, Kirk and Pats, I'm going to throw you because you chose this nice background here. You can't see it that much on the video, but big ups to you.
Too. It makes sense. Yes.
Did you see it first?
4 o'clock, baby. I was
I guess
flexing that in the Discord, and
the big flex.
I was happy I could see it first. Dylan got to see Batman first. I got to see Morbius first.
Man, what a winner!
Yeah.
So I was saying offcast, this was my first solo movie theater experience, and like just without the movie context, it's an interest. Like I feel like it's definitely a different experience when you go to a movie alone. If something happens in the movie, you can't just like turn to someone and laugh. I did that a couple times to like the old guy at the end of the end of the aisle. That's
Just
the word I'm
locked
looking
eyes
for. And he seemed not interested in my gaze at all. He was wearing a mask the whole time, so I couldn't really like get his like full facial features on what was going on. But
It was
like,
actually
this guy
Jared
just keeps
Leto
staring
like
at me.
coming in for some reactions. From
Did you like the
fans.
Dressed up
movie,
as an old
Kirklin?
guy. Yeah. Oh man.
Wouldn't that be sad? You know how like during the Batman, Robert Pattinson would secretly pop in the theater, like, "Hey, everyone!" It's a
Everyone's
full crowd.
cheering,
Everyone's cheering. Jared Leto pops into Kirkland. And it's like 4 people, like,
Just
Jared!
dumps his drink on his face as he tries to take
This is a gusher. Yeah.
Everyone drink with me
Oh.
now.
Jeez. Oh, that did not happen. It might have been
Oh,
him. I
damn.
don't think it was. He didn't seem that
Damn.
interested. I feel like
Good
maybe
fanfic.
Jared Leto would be a little bit more interested. But anyways, my thoughts on the movie. Yeah, Sony movie. I feel like I don't really have to preface that not a lot of people were like excited in a positive sense for this movie. Rotten Tomatoes score came out I think yesterday, if not the day before, and that was like I already had my expectations somewhere, and then you see that score, and it's just like ugh.
All day
Same
was
thing.
bouncing between a 14 and 21%. So it went
Okay,
back
I
and
saw it at
forth multiple
17,
times.
so it was kind of in the middle there.
It's been going back and forth. It's really climbing up to that 20%.
It's seeing a good
soon.
16 right now. Yeah.
It's It's so funny just thinking of like where this month started. Batman, very similar experience where like I had my expectations really high, and then right before the movie I saw Rotten Tomatoes score, and that was like a 96, 97. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm in for a surprise here. And then here Morbius at the end of the month. Expectations pretty low, and then I see this Rotten Tomatoes score. Ugh. But honestly, I think all in all, I think I'm above the Rotten Tomatoes score at least. That's not saying much because it is so low, but for a solo movie experience, I didn't look at my watch once. I think under 2 hours helped it a lot. There was
Sure
some
looked at his
moments.
watch a few times.
There was some moments that dragged for me in the beginning or in the middle, I'd say, but in just overall for a movie, I don't even know how to say this like not too harshly and not too positively. It's just it was a Sony experience. I've seen those Venom movies.
You gotta love the Sony experience in the movie world and the gaming world means so opposite
Oh, it's
directions of things. You know,
100%.
like when you're playing a video game and you talk about the Sony experience,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a high, but
Spider-Man
the movie world,
PS4, yeah.
yeah.
No, 100%. And yeah, I'm gonna get into specifics on the spoiler section, obviously, but
Good. That's what we do here. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're choosing to do that. Yeah.
But I think Jared Leto as the character of Morbius, it was good enough. It wasn't taking me out of the movie, which is good for a lead role. I think I don't even want to say like I wanted more from the character because it's not that interesting for me. I think because I had my expectations set so low, it had the opportunity to kind of surprise me in a sense. The storyline was very basic. It is very something similar to what I've seen like many times over before. And yeah, like I feel like I see this and I'm not waiting for the next Morbius or Sony project. Never mind. I'll ask that question in the spoiler section. But yeah, all in all, I think I place it somewhere close to Venom. I liked Venom for the character moments, or not the character moments. Let me rephrase that. The Venom CGI moments when he's kicking ass, but
The
all the character
appearance of
stuff, I
Venom.
hated. I hated the character stuff. I think with the Morbius character, because I'm just so less interested in him. I mean, I don't have a Morbius poster right next to me. I have a Venom poster, so obviously my
true.
heart's more tied to that character. But with the character Morbius, I didn't really care. So if he was acting like a buffoon, it's not like look what they're doing to my boy. You know, it's just okay.
Yeah.
This is Jared Leto, and
I've had that experience with Jared Leto before.
yeah.
Look what they're doing to my boy. I was gonna ask you because obviously, so people don't usually do this with Rotten Tomatoes, where so the percentage that's like how many people have given a positive. So 16% of 124 reviews is positive, but the average score is a 3.8. Don't give me your score till the end, but would you say you're above that, a 3.8?
Above a 3.8 out of 10, I'm assuming, or is
Yeah.
that a 5?
Yeah, 5,
I'd say I'm above that.
Okay, there you go.
And yeah, that's
Stay to the end. Yeah, yeah.
that's
yeah.
not like a
8.9.
positive review, but it's a weird thing of in that sense. Is it over 3.8? 38%?
You had to think about it for a second. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. Otherwise, I'll just keep rambling and trying to avoid spoilers.
So Dylan Musk, you joined us for Moon Knight, you joined us for
Mhm.
No Way Home, Doctor Strange coming up. So you've been getting back in the Marvel world in a sense like that.
Mhm.
So you've been catching up and everything. So how was it to jump back into the Sony verse? Because obviously you hadn't seen Venom 2. You don't need to worry about
Correct.
seeing that, but you had
Yeah.
seen Venom, obviously the Spider-Mans before in the past, Spider-Verse. So this is your first kind of back experience watching a Sony film produced Spider-Man character
Yeah.
story.
Well, I'll say this too, that Travis, me and you went on quite the journey a few years ago watching all the Spider-Man animated show,
Mm-hmm.
and Morbius is a pretty relevant character. Like, he pops up multiple times throughout the seasons, and it's a different character. He's sucking plasma instead of blood, and just the
The
story
finger
wise,
gushers.
yeah,
He's
obviously it's a
yeah.
Spider-Man show, so he's much more tied to Spider-Man. But really like that character. Like, it's a really fun character in that show, really well done, and pretty dynamic in terms of the villain part of it as well. So I do have some some soft spot somewhere in my
Mhm.
heart for Morbius as a character. And when it comes to reviews, I always try to go into a movie just like very much in the middle, try not to set my expectations anywhere. I try to just go in blank and let it guide me. But just based off of everything I've been hearing from Morbius, I modulated that a bit. I set my expectations very, very low. And I think probably that helped because I ended up liking it more than I was expecting. But once again,
Mhm.
those expectations were very low. So yeah, I think there is some good stuff in here. I don't think there's anything to love, but there is some things that I do enjoy. And I don't even think there's not too many things that are egregiously horrible. Like, there is some stuff I'm not a big fan of, but overall I thought it was okay. I guess to sum up my experience with it, like the first, I don't know, section, maybe 15-20 minutes of kind of setting everything up. Well, I wasn't really vibing it too much, but then there's this good like 30, maybe 40 minute sequence where I was actually really into it. I was liking what the direction they were going, the characters, and just what was going on with Morbius as a character. And then I just don't love the direction they take with it after that. Obviously, without spoiling what direction that is, but I just maybe there's another comic book movie we could compare it to that I would have liked if they went more that direction instead of the kind of more generic direction that they went with it. So at the end of the day, I guess I just didn't love the way it closed up by any means. But yeah, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Is
That's
it
good.
a it's probably still Golden Geek's like a worst film contender. Like, we'll probably still be a nominated there, but I don't. It's like, oh, that's easily gonna be the worst film of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess transition my thoughts. I think that's the best I can say about Morbius. I'm not for sure that it's gonna be in that category. And I actually, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, that like I liked some stuff in here, and I did not absolutely hate this movie because Venom 2, I had a really tough time watching that
Oh, yeah.
movie.
He's just taking a big inhale. Audio listeners, he's just getting his thoughts ready. There you go.
I knew I was gone because you guys were staring and looking very intently. I'm like, oh, they're really listening to me. And then I was like, oh no, it's way too long. But anyway, so I was saying that I was surprised how much I like this. Now, the reason I don't take that as me thinking this is like a great movie, it's just because again, my expectations are so low when it comes to just the writers, the director. Jared Leto's very hit and miss with the projects he picks. Sony is very hit or miss. And at least with this one, Venom 2, it was an awful experience for me. I saw it with Gwen, so that's what made it fun because seeing it with kids and stuff, it was, oh, Venom, she knows that. So that was a good time. Didn't take her this one. This was me and Emily. Emily, luckily. And I will say it did help. You guys saw Alone. It did help having someone there because there are a few kind of laugh out loud moments that you just look to. I can't wait to share in the spoilers. There was a moment where there's something that happens in the movie and it was dead quiet in the theater. And Emily burst out laughing and everyone in the theater started to laugh. And it was a good time. And I can't wait to talk about that. So I had fun with this. It was much like Venom where I had fun. And then when we got to the ending / end credits, I was like, oh boy, like this is not, I don't know how much I'm into this world still, but overall, it's not a complete garbage fire. I think that it is a shorter movie. It definitely feels like stuff has been taken out of it. It feels very kind of breakneck speed and in a good way that it moves fast, but in a way where it's just there's some stuff we're just no pun intended, just jumping to scene and plot line. And I think Jared Leto's actually.
What about Jared Leto? What do you think he is?
I think he's decent in this. I have no problems with Jared Leto. Anything I have with the problems of the movie would be like a writing choice. But I think when he's Michael Morbius, he's good. When he's Morbius, there's not much because it's just like him with a CG face, right? So lots that's not him. But I thought he was a good lead. He's someone that if we ever saw him somewhere else or there was a team up or something like that, I wouldn't be opposed. I would be like, oh yeah, sure. He did good enough. He did solid. Sure. Like when he's playing the down out doctor, that worked. Most of the side characters were not needed. There's not a spoiler. Like Tyrese Gibson and I can't remember some other actor. They play FBI agents, and man, I wish they made this movie an hour and a half and they just cut them completely out because they were useless and pointless. The comedic stuff did not work. It just all that stuff. You didn't need them. You didn't need them at all. They serve no purpose. I feel sorry for Matt Smith because I really like Matt Smith and I think he's a great actor. Like we just talked about him last night in Soho last year, right? Like he's a guy that he's a great actor, but he keeps ending up in like this Terminator Salvation. There's another bad movie. He got cut from Rise of Skywalker. Like I think he needs a new agent. But the thing is, I think he looked at the script and he knew exactly what this movie was, and he just went for it. I think he was having fun with this, so I had fun with that. Like he was hamming it up in the best way possible, and he made what is a super, very generic film that we've seen so many times done really enjoyable as far as like kind of a so good it's bad. So yeah, I enjoyed the time, but at the same point, I don't think I could say I'm 95% sure I will never watch this movie again. You know, it's just like I really have no reason to. I think like Dylan's saying, like there's some stuff to like, but I have nothing I could tell you that I love. Not even a scene where like that was, there's a parameter it gets to and it never gets past that, which is good because it never gets too low. So and also I guess I'm kind of like all you guys where my expectations were super low, right? But it's nowhere near the quality of like what we just got with the Batman or what the MCU is putting out, or even what Fox was putting out with some of the last X-Men movies, so yeah, it's a very mid-tier comic book movie. I'll probably forget about lots in a few weeks from now, but there'll be a few key scenes that I remember as far as comedy and everything like that. So
I think it's a good thing, honestly. It's maybe it's not a great thing that it'll be forgettable, but it's not going to be like I can't believe that they made this movie. Look what they butchered all these side characters or something like that. Like I'm not going to be thinking about that, like some stuff that happened with Venom 2. So that's good.
Yeah, Venom 2, Suicide Squad, stuff like that. So anything else non-spoiler before we crack this nut open?
Let's get our nutcrackers. Let's gush them.
I guess what we could say, like, I only recommend this if you're into the genre. I feel like here's something I don't know if you need to see it. Like I'm somewhere in the middle of. It's hard for me to recommend. Like I couldn't say not wait for streaming or a rental or something. I don't know. I don't like. What would you say if someone said like, should I see Morbius?
I don't know. Like I saw it in the Extreme Theater on the West Side, which is an IMAX. It's just like one step up from a regular movie going experience, I guess.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I was getting like a full thematic experience with the big screen and the audio. So I do think you could wait for streaming for this one. If you at least want to check it out, like there is some things that I actually quite liked in the movie that I'll talk about more in spoiler section. But I think if you're just a fan of like comic book movies or just an action movie, I know it's not. Is it an action movie? I know it's just like superhero movie now. Is like a genre in and of itself.
Yeah.
There is action in it. So if you like that stuff,
yeah.
If you're waiting for the next,
I
MCU
guess
project.
no. You know what? I would push back on Kirklin because I actually think some of the
Okay.
action is like there is one moment. It's a minor spoiler where these two characters crash into cement, and there's like 3 to 5 seconds of just the screen being filled with cement, and I was like, "What am I watching here? Why am I just watching
I know
cement?"
exactly the scene that you're talking about because
I
I made a
paid-
mental note of it. I'm like, what is this?
I paid money to watch cement fight. It's much like the finale of Venom when the symbiotes are fighting and you can't tell who's what. So that's where I'd say like the action parts are very. I don't think you wait till next week. There's a Michael Bay movie coming out that is a whole action car chase movie. Go see that. I think if you want an action movie, I'd probably say. Oh, Dylan, you're muted.
If you're a big Tyrese fan, maybe watch. Maybe you
Yeah.
could skip it. You said it pretty minimally.
Minimally, yeah. So Dylan, we'll wait back for Dylan. So what we'll do is right now we're gonna take our first ad break. So if you've not seen the movie or you don't want to be spoiled, tune out, come back later on. If you don't care, then stay with us. We will be right back. And we're back. So Dylan, are you with us? No, he's not. So what I'm also going to do right now while Dylan's figuring this out is this episode is sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped is what you want to be using right now because what I've been saying, they are the best below the belt in men's grooming. You want to be using them. They have a plethora of products that are coming out all the time. They're just putting out so much good stuff. I can't wait for April to them to show off like some of the cool promotions they're doing. But whether it's the lawnmower, whether it's the nose trimmer, the weed whacker, and my personal favorite, the plow. As I said before, just having a shaver that has like some nice weight to it. You want to be using our our code right now, GVPOD, and get 20% off and free worldwide shipping. As I've said, summer is coming up. You want to be clean. You want to be sick. Winter's over. No more time for just like wild hair, wherever it may be. You want to get rid of it. You want to start taking care of it. You got the lip balm that Kirkland's a big fan of, so Kirklin Patzer, why should people be getting some Manscaped right now? And I will say thank you to everyone that's been using it because now we have extended this. Before we said March this last time, they have extended our deal to them till June. So you got to get ready for summer. You got no excuse now. You got to be using this stuff we've been talking about for months. But Kirklin Patzer, I'll throw to you.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard us rant and rave about the products, but like every time I go to use the products, before it's even used, I just know it's a top quality product just by like the bottle that they have for the. I've been using
I love
the
their
body
branding
wash
and their packaging, everything like that. Yeah,
absolutely. It's like rugged, It's like this is like Stark Tech right here that I'm holding.
Yeah.
This
The shampoo bottle has some weight to them. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
like that. Yeah, I'm
100%.
keeping
And
that when I'm done with it. Yeah.
their deodorant as well. I've never had a deodorant stick that like shape and design before, and it's so unique. I'm able to just get like all the different crevices in my armpit. You think you
It's
just
like the
need like the
lawnmower. They got that smooth stuff. Like they know how to work around edges and curves.
and like a screw lid on it.
Yeah.
It's minor, but it just feels like I'm doing something else. And I just love my morning routine. Just using all the products. The body moisturizer. Butchering on the name right now, or blanking on the name rather, but yeah, no, all their products so great. I carry that lip balm with me 24/7. I'm like plagued by dry lips, and it's weird. It's like always
You're
after
looking
the
like
winter
Michael
months.
Morbius, and you need some lip balm. They should say, "Here,
Absolutely.
Michael, take some of this," and he would
That's
be like,
what
"Oh,
he needed.
Manscaped, I love it." Yeah,
Absolutely. Get some of the blue and the red. Maybe I was gonna say the white. Maybe that's affiliated to something else. But
yeah.
use that lip balm, Michael Morbius. Yeah, no, great products. I love it. I recommend it. Everyone, even if I'm not doing an ad read on a podcast, like it's just good quality stuff, and I'm so blessed that I can just like actually talk well about a product that I actually care about and would purchase on my own. So
Yeah, and that's the thing because I had heard about them before, and then my sister's boyfriend right now had heard us talk about it. He's like, "Oh, what do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, you gotta try it." He used the code, and man, he's enjoying himself in the best way possible. Not to make it sound creepy, but like it's going good because it's just like I've not heard a negative thing about anything, and that's a good thing. Like they have multitude of different products, so go use that right now. GVPod, free shipping and 20% off. And like I've said before, whatever you're looking for, if there's something broken or you want to buy something for the first time, like Taylor and Kirkland with the weed whacker, try it. There's some products out there, if you've never had them, they're worth it. So Manscaped, 20% off, free shipping, GVPod. Go use the code at manscaped.com. Dylan Moss, are you with us? He's not with us there. So no, he's not there. So
technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
What we will do is, Dylan, I guess you wouldn't even be able to know. Do you get a ball? Actually, when you pull up if Dylan is he completely gone? Okay, he's completely gone. So we'll see what happens. So Morbius. Let's talk about this. We're in the spoilers. I guess what I will say is I'm not surprised because it's an hour 45, but we get into the origin stuff really, really quick. They jump pretty much right into it. That scene when we've seen from, I think maybe the first trailer when he's like has his hand on, he's like,
at the cave.
Yeah, the cape. That was the very first scene of. Well, I guess. Sorry, is it the? Well, it is because they did a reverse where so many movies this past or like the last decade where it was you'd get a scene, right? Maybe 5 minutes, and then it fades to black, and then you jump 5 years later, 10 years later. This did the reverse where it went back 25 years earlier, and I was like, oh shit, we're changing stuff up, and Yeah, I guess it explained he gets the bats and some stuff like that. Like I will say this, and then I'll throw to you. I was really liking the movie, maybe in like a 7.57 way, where all the way up until he injects himself and actually becomes Morbius. That's when it started to kind of turn for me. It's funny, even before I said that, Emily said the same thing to me, saying, yeah, when he injects himself, that's when it started to get a bit more, choppy, cheesy. It started to show its maybe true colors. Like, okay, this is not the greatest movie. It felt very much at times like a straight to DVD movie. Anytime I've seen something like that, but this was just like, okay, higher budget and better actors. But yeah, what do you think of the opening? Because we got the origins of the bat, we see the him as a kid, stuff like that.
I kind of like that it's just the two of us now because we can be on complete opposite sides of the spectrum. I hated the beginning of this movie. I absolutely hated it. I thought it was so messy. We kept bouncing around like it's like I'm watching Witcher season 1. That's just a collection of short stories, and we're just going all sorts of places. There was moments where we'd be in the middle of a scene and it would like flash back to something, and then he'd be like talking over something going on and it would just like skip the scene. I'm like, is there something fucking wrong with this movie? Like, did we just actually skip like accidentally? It's like, no, it's just a part of the editing. And I really I feel like it's just a thing now. Whenever a movie like at the beginning just has like a 25-year ago or like a major time skip, I'm just like I roll my eyes. Like I'm not gonna write it off, but every time I see that now, it's just like, oh my god, are you serious? Okay, this is what we're doing here. And it's my own like issues I'm bringing into the movie just because I just hate when movies do that, like a very quick, and like that's a major time jump, right away in the movies. Like
quarter of a century.
There's no reason they couldn't have just opened the movie with that. I really hated the editing of the beginning of the movie. I just thought it was so choppy, and the pacing was not working for me.
Well, what I found was odd was they do the first scene in the cave, and then they jump back 25 years later, and then the next scene is him accepting his award. It was like, why? And they didn't tell us we're back in present day. It's like, I didn't know if that was necessary. I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to start the movie off as them as kids, but like, yeah, this might be a little bit too boring for people. So let's give them like a creepy scene up top and then jump back. That's what I feel probably was maybe like a studio note or something, because the kids stuff is just super generic. Like we've seen that before. Kids get bullied, they're outcast because of like how they're born, which is not their fault. But Dilmas, how did you think about the opening?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My
Boom.
echo
my
vision.
God, I don't
My
know
ears
what was
are
going on.
flittering.
I was unplugging everything. I was checking Audacity. So weird. Yeah, I think I agree to an extent. I think for me the thing that was confusing about it is we start in the jungle and go to the past, then we come back to the future, and I didn't know if that was before or after that new like the scene in the jungle. I didn't know if we were leading up to him going to the cave and getting the powers there, or if like that had already happened, which obviously I figured it out in a couple scenes, but it was just weird the way it was paced. Yeah, because they didn't have anything on screen when they came back to present day as like telling you where you're at. So I thought that part of it was weird. I guess from the stuff with the kids, I don't know, it was fine. I guess I just felt like we're kind of going through the numbers, and but I get it as like an origin story thing. There is some things you kind of have to go through, and that's part of the genre. So I guess I'm used to it. But I also think back to Batman a few weeks ago and how that did such a great job of having these origin story elements, but done in different ways. But then also you're dealing with, okay, we've done this several times before, so we got to do something different. So it's different when you're introducing a character who's never had a live action version before. So. And I guess I will say for that opening section stuff, I didn't feel like it was too long. I think there's some pacing issues later on, but at least for that stuff, like they got through it pretty quick. And it's not like you're spending a half an hour with the kids at this place and seeing what their life is like. It's pretty swift.
Yeah, and another reason why I'm fine with it is because it's not just his origin, it's the villain's origin as well. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 special where it's like you get to see them bond. And I actually thought, like, we'll get to it probably more later once they start fighting, but as the friends, I actually thought Jared Leto and Matt have had like some good chemistry when they were like going for a walk, when they were taking shots at each other. And I think it's because they both can be good actors. Jared Leto can be, and I think Matt Smith is a good actor, but I bought into their friendship. Now things turn bad real fast, like in a blink of an eye. Everything is like the relationship's over. He's completely evil. So that's what was disappointing. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a struggle, but I like their chemistry together. I don't think, what was her name? I know it was Bancroft, but I don't think Leto and her had
Martine.
I don't.
They were like checking a box. They're like, oh, we got to have this love character, to the side, and then just to have like, because we just seen that type of character in these types of movies before, and yeah, I felt like that was just a forced relationship that was so unneeded. They easily could
very
have just
forced to
had
me, yeah.
like the equivalent of like Norman's sidekick, like in the lab. Like they could have had that nerdy old guy, but they're like, no, we
Yeah.
got to get the eye candy for a nice little
Well,
romantic moment.
and because even like again, I feel the villain switch happens fast, but you still get a little bit of backstory. You don't know much other than okay, we're told they've been working together for a long time, right? And as we all know, okay, it's probably gonna become romantic. But I kind of wish they took a different round. They just were just friendly, and she's looking out for him because we don't have time for that. We like later on when they kiss on the rooftop, it felt forced, and so. That scene when they're out. So two things about this. One, Jared Leto multiple times in this movie is a wanted man. There's posters. He's on the news. He's on TV. They will go to a fucking restaurant and he's sitting there in broad daylight just eating a meal. No one notices. That was one of my like big problems. Like, hey, this is the type of movie we're in. But later on, so he's on a rooftop, right? There's a situation where she's opening up a can of cat food. She cuts her finger, and we all know what's going to happen here, which I don't mind the scene. Okay, it's cool. He's a vampire fighting his urges. You got to cover up. She like tastes the blood, which was kind of weird. But either way, so he goes to the roof, right? He's going to try and get clear the system. It's kind of like when you are wine tasting and you take some water to like wash it out. That's what he's doing up there. He's on the roof trying to get the nostrils clean. And we get this scene where he's like, close your eyes, come closer, and he kisses her. So yeah, okay, whatever. And then smash cut to Matt Smith at the train station, just staring, watching. And that was the moment, non-spoilers, that Emily burst out laughing, and everything. We all just laughed together. We had a in unison moment, just laughing at Matt Smith watching.
That's awesome.
Because the scene felt like it went on for a while of him staring. It wasn't just like, oh, there he is. He's staring, and they're zooming in on him, and man, it was funny. Like the romance started to become comedic near the end, and that's unfortunate.
I wish I had some of those comedic moments at my theater. It was dead quiet. There was no communal laughing, like kumbaya moment, which would have been, I think, a fun experience. Which is why I didn't get to say this in non-spoilers because my audio was fucked up. But yeah, I think this is like definitely a movie you don't need to go to the theaters for, but just watch it on the couch with some friends and. You don't need to go see it in theaters. But anyway, I think my problem with that character of Martine as well is that she just doesn't really have any sort of personality outside of just directly her just really liking Morbius and what he's up to, and then like the forced romance part of it. And it's just too bad that she doesn't have like really any scene where she's on her own. I mean, I guess there's that one scene where she's in the lab and then Milo's there, but yeah, we just don't know anything about her character, about her life. So and she's in it a lot, and so it's like there's opportunity for that, but they just don't seem to care about that because she's really only a tool for the Morbius character to have some romance.
Yeah, and it's funny because at the beginning of the movie, they're kind of like butting heads, and I liked that because she's kind of, questioning that he's unethical. She finds the bats and everything, and he's like, how'd you find my passcode and all this stuff?
Yeah.
And it's so funny, though, because the first core of this movie, and it's like, obviously, it's in the back of my mind already, but I'm like, man, I was liking what you missed on while you're going to say. I liked the movie a lot up until he became Morbius, and I thought there was a switch where Kirklin did not. But for me, because in that scene, he's acting like a very kind of like high and mighty. He is gonna die, so that's why we understand, but just very like, I'm gonna do this, whatever, like I don't care. Like he's kind of like a little bit of a prick. And while I was watching, I was like, man, I would love this if this was a Spider-Man movie and he was the villain and this was his origin right here. Like this movie feels like that for a little bit the first half, where it's like, oh, this would be the villain origin part of the Spider-Man movie, and then they collide. And then later on, when we get to know Morbius' the main character, that's where I think we start to falter. But I liked all the stuff in the lab. I liked him with the kids. I liked his just kind of the way Leto played him, as far as like he wasn't, from the trailers, they just showed him as he always was looking sick, and he had like a little bit of a smart ass personality, but not too like quippy or anything. So I liked how he was playing Michael or Dr. Michael Morbius,
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think like just getting back to the scene with him and Lucien, which I don't even know why the fuck his name was Lucien, and it didn't make any sense why he just started calling Milo. Like I feel like that's such an asshole thing to do. Like, no, my name's Lucien. Like, show some respect and call me with that fucking name. And then he just is Milo for the rest of his life. Like, they didn't once explain that, other than just
he likes the name.
Milo
like,
was
you named
before.
Me. You named me.
Yeah, like I got that line at the end, which like, okay, it's kind of touching in a weird way, but I'm still just like, I can't believe this fucking asshole is just calling me like, what if you just call me Dick? Like, like no, my name's Kirklin. Ever since I met you at Target, you guys are just like, no, your name's Dick now, and I've just become Dick. Like,
Well, it's starting
Yeah.
now, Dick. No, Dick Patzer.
that's my middle name, actually,
Interesting
Richard.
arts name.
Kirkland
So
Dick Patzer.
I really just didn't like that initial like meeting of the friends, and then they just became best buddies, and like it just didn't really make sense to me. It was so rushed, and like again, that's just in that umbrella of the beginning of the movie that I just really didn't like. I didn't like pretty much anything that was in that just opening segment of the movie of just flashing. But when they were older, and it was actually Jared Leto, you know, in the shoes of Morbius, and what's his name? Matt Smith. You
Matt
said?
Smith, yeah.
So when they meet and then they go on for like a walk and they're just, you know, they're limping through the streets of New York, but they're just chatting like friends. I love that stuff. I thought that was so well done. You already mentioned it, Travis, but like I just really was eating into that friendship, and that was something that like that was the first part of that friendship where I was really eating into it, because just the opening part I didn't like, but all that stuff was great. And I definitely agree with what you were saying of just like all the Dr. Michael Morbius stuff. That was really good. So I definitely got to tip my hat to Jared Leto there. I've given him a lot of shit in the past for just various roles that he's done, and maybe some behavior that he had on set or just behind the scenes. But he was really good of the character of Michael Morbius, like when he was with that young girl, the patient. All that stuff was really, really good. Were you gonna jive something in there quickly? Or
No, I was just gonna say,
Okay.
yeah, I agree. And like,
Yeah.
like the good thing is, at least I cared about Michael Morbius while this
Yeah.
was happening, you know, and all these
100%. And then you guys were just talking about the love interest, which I completely forget her name. The other doctor,
Martine.
lady.
Dr. Brankoff, Martine, yeah.
Martine.
Is it Martine?
I think so.
Yeah, I
I
think
like it.
Dylan's right. Yeah.
So Dr. Martine, I thought she was very, like, again, she's just that character that I've seen many times before. But I felt like nobody really reacted to the fact that like Dr. Michael Morbius has lived his entire life with this rare genetic blood disorder, so he just has to walk with like a limp, and he's super frail. And then next thing you know, he's just like he's just jacked and like an MMA fighter and like walking like straight and like just looking handsome, and nobody like
have
ever
my
makes a
good
comment
days.
regarding about yeah, like nobody
The
ever
no, the cops
S-
do
cops do,
once.
yeah.
Remember? Yeah, remember when they're arresting him? They're like, "You're looking pretty good." Like on the TV, you kind of look near death.
Okay, but
and-
like when he's in the like when he's still working as a doctor at the lab, like no one's like, "Wow, doctor, like you are amazing. You broke the genetic code. You broke
Well-
the cure." You know, it's just no,
And-
that's
Well, no
just
one really
Michael Morbius.
No one really sees him in that sequence before he starts going full Morbius mode, really, as far as I
Well,
can remember.
like what I was gonna bring up, I'm not sure if this brings in any like pacing issues that Dylan's gonna talk about, but so we have, and we'll talk about, but you have the boat scene, right? Everything goes to hell. He jumps off the boat, he makes a call, and then from then somehow he Batmans himself way back to New York so he can be in his lab and everything. He doesn't know he could fly, so I guess he's just swimming back to New York. But either way, I was very confused. Is he there and people know, okay, Michael Morbius is walking around, or is he being secretive? Because the first half when he's in his lab, I'm like, okay, he's keeping it quiet, he doesn't want people to know he's here. But then when he is just hanging out with that girl he's looking after, it's like, well, clearly people would see, like they could just pop in the room and be like, oh look, Morbius. So I was very, and then when he was leaving, he got his crutches to make it seem like he was still sick. So it's like people probably saw him walk into the building or walk out at some point. So I was very confused about the status of the whereabouts of what is like what do people think is happening with Michael Morbius right now? And I guess he was just living his life, and yeah, he was jacked, he was tanned, he was looking good, but we don't see that. We don't even see that nurse who's like, I knew her for 7 years, she was a friend, like
Yeah.
even her say something. And that's where there's just parts of this movie that feel like they're missing. It just feels like they chopped it out to like, get a shorter runtime, and that's some of the stuff where we're just, okay, he's back in New York doing stuff. Cool.
Yeah, I guess
Definitely.
that part of it becomes weird when his lab isn't some Avengers compound or Batcave. Like he just has this room in the hospital, and for some, like there's that one hospital bed that you can just see his lab like from it. So it is, yeah, it's like a public place. So it makes it weird when you talk about those characters.
Well, the only thing I was gonna add to that is like, and it's weird because later on in the movie he makes sure to go get a lab that's secretive, like in a subway where those gang people have.
That
right?
part was super weird.
It was weird because we
Yeah.
don't like. I guess he uses it to make that serum, but like I felt like we were gonna get. Actually, does he make the serum there, or does he make it at his lab?
He makes it there.
Okay, so he did
or
use
he
it,
makes
okay.
the extra ones there at least, I think.
Yeah, okay, so he did use it, but that's why it's weird that they had that beginning of him going back in the hospital. Because if you were gonna set up that he was gonna go have the secret lab, they should have done that right away, so he could be hiding out the whole time. So Just want to point that out before I forgot.
Yeah, I mean that secret lab part is weird. Like it's just the coincidence of these random like thugs coming into this diner and like
Yes.
we got a secret lab. Like they're just dropping all these like keywords that go off in his weird ears.
We're making
that-
the same blood that he's created and everything.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah.
That whole section was weird. I will say in a bad so bad it's good way. I like that line when he's like crushing that guy's hand and he's just making these weird comments about
The
bones.
stinky pinky.
Yeah.
The stinky pinky.
It's
Did he
like
really
very
say that?
Jared Leto
He
over
did.
the top vibes.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But I thought it was kind of funny in a way. I guess that was one of the things that made me chuckle in a little bit. But to go back, I wanted to just comment on the boat part of it. Like obviously that set piece, whatnot. I actually do like that from like the kind of thriller horror part of it. And I was still in the movie at that. I was still pretty like into the story when we get there. I just felt like it was weird that this experiment and all this has to be done on international waters. Like they made a point about saying that and then it like cuts. Like I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie, a subtitle that says international waters.
Yeah.
It was
Like if
so
you didn't
weird.
get it, they're not on waters, North America, they're on international waters. It was like,
Yeah,
okay.
so I guess his idea was he wants to do it in a place where if it goes poorly that he wouldn't be close to people.
Mhm.
I guess that
I
was
think
the
so, yeah. And I think it's like he did say to Milo before when he said it's illegal. So
Yeah.
it's not even that maybe someone would find
Yeah.
him in his lab and they'd be like, hey,
But-
you guys are going to
Well,
prison.
But even, that's not
even
like why does he have any? Why would he have any thought that this would make him a superhuman? Right? Like all of it that we see one test experiment
No.
he has previously, and it doesn't like make the rat super buff or something.
no,
Not like I Am Legend when he's testing on a rat and it goes crazy. So I don't know why he would why couldn't he just do this in a secure room back in New York? I don't know why he needed.
And
to
he
go.
even has a glass lock room in his lab, though. Remember, he locks himself in there. But I think it is just the illegal aspect that if
Yeah.
something goes wrong, he doesn't want her.
Yeah, I'm not
Well,
saying
no,
to do it
it's-
in his hospital, but I don't know if you need to get like a huge cargo boat and go
Yeah.
in the middle of the ocean.
Which Milo paid for. He paid for that boat. He paid for those guys. That's
He's
a
got a
lot
lot
of
of
money.
another
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
fucking con I have.
Tell me
Where does he even have all this money? And why is he just kingpin of New York? Like they don't ever fucking explain that at all. It's just like no, he just was so angry in his youth that he just became rich. It's just like
No, I
okay,
think he
that was
inherited
such
it.
weak storytelling.
I
Was
think
it?
that's what I think. Well, you never know for sure, but
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, it is. It's 100% is. I guess I just took it that his family was wealthy and he got it because I don't know what he could be doing, but he could have a job because
He's like Russian, like mob, like just like lackeys at his disposal that he can just have this huge cargo ship. Like that was early on in the movie, and that's where I was just like, man, that is so
I
rough.
feel
That
like
they don't even
needed a
gloss
throwaway
over.
line to explain
Yeah.
that.
I agree.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah. And I do love, me and Emily were talking about this, that even later on when he gets, his whole strength and he can walk and everything like that, he never replaces those runners. He keeps those runners on the whole movie. I don't know if you noticed, they're the
When he was
ugliest looking
dancing,
runners.
that looked so funny to me.
Oh, he dances multiple times. He dances when he's sexy. He dances when he kills the police. Matt Smith, he was having fun with this. He's like, I'm getting a paycheck. This movie's probably not going to be that good, but I'm going to just go hard on it. Like even the scene when he goes to that club and starts hitting on that girl, he had those running shoes on. He had them because they show on the gargle and he walked in those in the club. So that was
I
the
missed
choice
it in the club. That's quite the club attire. But when he was dancing over the police, I thought that was pretty comical.
Yeah. So the boats, let's go back to that because we kind of glossed over that. But yeah, that's when he turns and everything like that. Yeah, the rat thing happened. And like, okay, we got this idea. Yeah, international waters. I agree with Dylan. Like, yeah, it should just be somewhere hidden. But okay, we're gonna do this on a boat. It was interesting because they retroactively tell us later that, hey, all these people, they're pieces of shit and they could be bad guys. But at first, they didn't tell us that. It was just, okay, Michael Morris and this doctor are going on a trip and they need, well, even then, I guess they need it in case someone like pirates come or something, but they're just like jacked to the nines. They got guns everywhere, but still, okay, fine. But before that, we didn't get this context of, hey, they're bad people. They had the guy come down and be shitty to her. So that's when I knew, okay, they're going to do something. But when Michael Morbius was just like decimating these guys, I didn't know how to feel about it because at this point, it's just, they could just be hired bodyguards and he is going to town. But then later on they heavily influence, like no, they're probably vassals, like good thing they're gone and stuff.
It's
like that.
they don't even like commit to it. The cop is just like, well, they were mercs, so they probably did some bad stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
very just toss it aside.
100%. It was such like okay, how do we have characters that our main character can kill that it's not like the end of the world because he's just like killing family members
Yes.
or killing these just innocent people. Like, and then they go through the efforts of just showing that they're piece of shits with that dialogue that Dr. Martine had with Goon number 1. That was probably his name in the script. Yeah. Christ.
Yeah, and then because it was so funny too later on when they're talking about the nurse that got killed, the police officers, he's listing like all these people that he didn't kill and he doesn't want to kill them, but he never once like really like feels bad. I didn't feel like he actually feels bad about killing those 8 people, even if they are mercenaries or whatnot, and maybe there was more shown that on the boat, but he just I know he says he's never gonna kill again, but that just feels overall doesn't feel like he took 8 lives and he's kind of, well, that shit happens, when you're a scientist.
I think I believed it enough for like he knows that they were just like mercenaries basically, like they're not the nicest people in the world, and then he also drops the line of just like, I can't ever let that happen again. Like I think that worked enough for me. I agree with you. That's a lot of deaths. That's like a mass murder, right? So
Yeah, 8 people. Yeah, quite a bit.
I think it was enough for me to feed into, okay, I need to just prevent this curse to go on anyone else, and like the pushback on Milo there, which fuck, we haven't even got to that scene yet. Oh my gosh.
Well, what I wanted to ask you guys with the boat, how did you feel about the actual action of it when he breaks out and he's taking guys out? We got lots of slow-mo, we got lots of like kind of not bamfing, but teleport all over. You got claws, you got teeth.
It's like bamfing.
It is it is Nightcrawler very much. Yeah.
I will say that I think it changes, and that from that scene to what it's like in the future, like they're trying to set up as almost more horror-like, and the kind of thriller elements of him just coming up from the roof or pulling people away, and then later on it becomes much more just straight-on action, like not really having these thriller elements to it. And I was digging it. I at first really liked the effects of him like swooping, teleporting around, or quick dashing, and then the slow-mo I thought was kind of an interesting choice, but I actually did kind of like it, because other than that, it is very chaotic and hard to actually just see what's going on. And so to show these moments of like how he's able to do it is because he's kind of quicksilvering it a little bit. He's kind of slowing down time, and so he can make these decisions. So I have to say, I actually really liked the action in that scene. And then I guess just to spoil how I feel later on, I think that just gets so muddy with they throw so many extra effects on there that I can't, like there's many scenes like you mentioned with the cement, but there's other scenes where you just can't really tell what's going on at all. And so I wish they kind of kept it restrained like the first scenes, but then just, showed you a little more of the details, but still kept that same style to it. But they really went off the deep end. But yeah, for the boat part, it actually worked well for me.
Yeah, the only thing that didn't work well, and we kind of saw a preview of the scene a while back, so I knew it was coming, but man, they tried their very best to make sure they don't show like any direct contact. It feels like you are watching the difference between like a pornographic scene and a softcore porn. And if people don't know, that's like, it is porn simulation, but there's actually like this is indeed like no penetration, like nothing, like you don't see that. It's just all simulated, right? And that's what this was like. Anytime a claw got close, anytime a teeth got close, there was just like the camera, something would in the screen get smashed, and then like it would hit the camera, so it's like debris hits the camera. And you just missed him scratch. And like, I'm not saying like they need to go hard R and just like go for it, but it felt very tame, where that's, I guess, took me out a little bit, where I was liking the vibes of it. I even liked before like some of the first person view of him crawling around, but I guess that kind of just took it away from me a little bit, because it just felt so tame. And he felt a little tamer than like Venom 2, and Carnage had some moments where he was like really popping off and kind of like hurting some people, and I felt that maybe because of him being a vampire, maybe they couldn't get away with that with the MPAA. So I liked the stuff. I liked the vibe. I guess it was just, there were times in those moments where I was like, man, I wonder what it would have been like radar. I get why they don't, because it cuts their audience, but I would have loved to seen like that sort of stuff. But I feel like the vampire kind of isms were very, very tame in this movie.
That's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. I think it could have just been that much more intense if they were able to show those things. But I understand they're trying to hit PG-13 and or 14A. I don't know. Is that a Canadian thing? 14A?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's just PG-13 in America, and then I don't know what UK is.
Yeah, I don't know. Peggy 13, the old Peggy.
Are we talking to Carl about this on Afternoon?
Well, yeah, because Batman was rated R over they're
Right.
rated R, and same
Oh,
thing. Moon
okay.
Knight over there is like whatever it's like 16 there is their rated R. So Batman and so but I feel like this wouldn't be because how docile that action is.
Yeah.
There's lots of blood, and like I guess
Well-
maybe they get an R for the way Jared Leto drinks that fucking blood. Jesus
The
Christ,
fruit
we've talked
gusher.
about that a few times, but yeah. It does not look natural, and I know there's no natural way, and maybe that's why it's just like anytime it happened, I can't wait for gifs of that, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
remember that gif I used to use all
It's
the time?
Michael
Michael
C.
C. Hall
Hall
with the
with the
Skittles?
Skittles.
That's exactly what it is. That's
Yeah.
where my mind went.
One and the
Yeah.
same.
Just
I'll
getting
post
back
that
to
on
the
Twitter tomorrow.
Dylan definitely nailed it with just like that ship scene, which is that the exact same scene that they released? I saw it so long ago that I couldn't even remember
They
if it
released
was
a portion
exact.
of it, yeah,
Okay, it
for
was a
like a
portion.
sneak peek, yeah.
It had that thriller element, which is fun. I mean, I've seen that in many like first reveals of the creature or like the vampire, going through the change, and then just him being this monster in the shadows. I love that scene. I think the CGI for majority of the movie, honestly, I think it looks stellar. I think it could have
Stellar.
I thought it
Wow.
looked phenomenal, especially like
Wow.
when he
This
was
is
bamping around. I thought it was great. Honestly, I thought it was so great. Later on, I agree with you, like the cement scene.
The final fight is problematic, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Venom versus
Riot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first Venom scene where
Memorable
it's just mixtures going on, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay.
Because in that
Action,
final
I don't know who's winning, but I
Yeah.
see they're fighting each other.
in that final fight, they're just like flying around each other in circles and they're getting intertwined. And I get it might be a budget thing, but what you need to go do is watch Matrix 3 when you have Neo versus Mr. Smith. And those are two characters that fly and fight. But to me, at never any point, and that's dark, that's raining, at never at any point do I go, who's who? Like, what's going on here? And they're
Yeah.
moving fast, they're moving quick. This one, it just feels like you have a blender of stuff going on, and it just doesn't look pretty. It not even like bad CGI. It just you can't really follow along, and you don't get invested at all in the fight. You don't, and it's really short too. Like for a final fight, they pretty dispatched each other pretty quickly. Like Matt
he
Smith
did the
is like,
Batman trick. He called.
yeah, he did the Batman trick. He gets he does like a WWE thing where he just gets a pole and he's just waiting for Michael to stand up. It's like, what are we doing? Like, why'd you stop attacking him? Like, he's down, but he's
The
just like,
pole
all
was
right,
weird. I
Yeah.
didn't expect him to wield a spear.
get up.
And he warns
Yeah.
them. He's like, "Hey, radar, or
Yeah.
sonar,
It
I'm
was
coming."
super
Dangling
weird.
around.
Yeah.
And then just to push back on my stellar comment of the CGI, I thought like the beginning CGI was great. When he's bouncing around, looks stellar. All that stuff, I will defend that. It looks amazing. I really, really, really didn't like when they were talking with the CGI. That's where it was really, really noticeable. And, credit to them. They didn't have it lots until the end. Matt Smith is like monologuing wild vampire-y, and it just, it looked
double
pretty
thing.
bad. But like before that, most of the dialogue would like shift to the human form, which great decision on their part because it just didn't look that great. It was very noticeable when like you're hearing the words from the actor, but the mouth is just CGI. It's just that off that I notice it really easily. But like in the early portions, or it's not even like the first part of the movie. Like when it's like the ship until like the end, I thought it looked great. When they're zooming around, I don't fully understand like that trail element because I figured it was just like let's say I'm a superhero and like my mist powers is purple, so every time it's purple. But when he has like the orange jumpsuit, the trail like turns orange, and I'm like, is this just because like the viewer is seeing this, or like he actually just takes the form of whatever clothes he's wearing? I didn't like that just switch up. But
he wore that prison outfit for a while. I felt
that's
like
his,
too.
it's a super suit going forward.
Fuck every poster. Let's take our second ad break and let's keep going on Morbius after this quick message. We'll be right back. And we're back. So, Dylan, did you want to say something there? I just want to throw an ad break, or
Okay. My last comment on the boat thing is,
Yep.
like
Whose boat was it?
Martine gets knocked out, and then he checks on her,
God.
and then he just leaves, and he calls a helicopter, so maybe it didn't take that long. But I feel like she probably could have just died there, like very realistically.
She had like a mini coma, so apparently that was a hard hit. Like they had her ventilated and everything.
I think he
in the
even has a line.
hospital.
He's like, "Oh, she's sleeping." Like he says like something weird, and then I guess he can like sense her heartbeat or something like that.
Yeah.
Then he just pieces out, jumps in the water, and lucky she's still alive. But to be fair, it does take her a few days to actually recover. So it was
Mhm.
pretty severe, obviously.
What I want to mention before I forget is so Kirkland, I agree with you for some reason on the zoom out shots of the face when they had that going on, but sometimes when they were close, like I can't remember his name, but when Matt Smith was talking with the guy that was like their mentor, like father figure,
Yeah.
when he came to check on him, they had the zoom in on Matt Smith's face, and like you could see the cheekbones how they're indented like a bat's way, and I thought it looked really good. I was like, man, and also I think his face looked better because I had this problem before in the marketing. I think Jared Leto should have shaved. Like they should have had Jared Leto shaved for this movie because I actually didn't like having Morbius with the beard because when his face turned like some of the ridges, it was like, oh, is that hair? Is that ridges? Where Matt Smith, because he was clean shaven. I love how when they got in close, it looked identical, like how a bat would look. So I liked that look. So I wish Leto was clean shaven, maybe the sequel. So I actually liked the designs of the look. I think it went in and out as far as looking good to not so great. But there's one moment though when Matt Smith is first like it's after the prison when Morbius has figured out, okay, he's the bad guy. And this was another scene where my theater was laughing when the train's coming and he's just slow motion running at Morbius and has that smile.
My gosh.
Oh my God. I can't wait for a gift of that. Cause yeah, we were howling. I mean, like it just was, there was something about it that he was just smiling and like looking like
it didn't make any sense either. Like
No.
we've seen them move like a blink of an eye, and then you can make the argument or try and make the argument. It's like it's slow mo. It's just because they're vampires. But like we see the train coming, and he's running like the same speed of the train. When like a scene earlier, we saw them like flash instantly like down the hallway when he was going after that one poor nurse. But yeah, that scene. I think that's one where if I had someone to my right, I could have actually like laughed at. That's probably when I looked at the old man at the end of my aisle. Like, are you seeing this right now?
And he was just gone.
He was running at me that same speed.
that kind of leads into something I was just a general thing is I feel like there's a lot of inconsistencies in their power, the use of blood and how like they consume blood. I don't know if you guys felt this way, but at least for like the powers part of it, I was kind of just confused. It seemed like that scene alone, like why is Morbius like why is his slow-mo powers much stronger? Like why can he just chill there for a while?
100%.
He can think, he can look around, he can decide maybe I can fly right now, and then he just does. And then Matt Smith's character is just kind of running extra slow.
Well, and you could make the case because they kind of emphasize that red blood, human blood makes you stronger, right? And that's all Matt Smith is working on right now is he just fed on like 3 cops a second ago.
Yeah.
And I had the same thing of like, okay, how is Morbius putting this in slow motion and how is Matt Smith not? And then at one point I was like, okay, can only Morbius fly and Matt Smith can't? But then the end fight, Matt Smith was just flying everywhere. So I think the movie concept I couldn't really understand that. I guess I threw it out the window because okay, they're not going to explain this to me, so I guess I'm just going to go with it.
And maybe this was just me, but I just felt that we got 2 types of blood in this movie. There's like the blue synthetic blood, and then there's the red just regular blood. And I just felt like sometimes he would consume blood and it would suppress his vampire-ness, and then he would just be chilling. But then sometimes he would consume blood and it would just like turn him into a raging beast. So what am I like? Is it obvious? Am I just missing something there? Because I felt like sometimes drinking blood would just have completely different effects on him. Matt Smith had always just turned him into a fucking demon, but for Morbius himself,
and like
it seemed to change.
It seems like they put an emphasis on like, okay, Morbius, if he doesn't drink within 6 hours, or it was diminishing.
Yeah.
But like if he doesn't drink, then he's just gonna turn. Meanwhile, we have Matt Smith that seems like he's just not drinking like at all initially, and then he's just Matt Smith that can walk good, and then whenever he's pissed off, he like turns into the vampire mode.
Yeah, he never goes back to the previous form. Right?
No, and
but
like
he keeps drinking though. He does.
Do
he
they?
kills it
Because it's not
Yeah,
clear.
No, because this is where I
when he's getting
I'll
ready in
defend
the
it.
morning and like dancing, I don't see any blood with him.
Because here's the thing we don't get to know, and this is a bad thing in the movie. All we know is Morbius is doing the fake blood, right? And we get to see that's diminishing. So we don't know. We have that one thing on the boat. We don't know what would happen if he kept consuming human blood. Maybe that would last longer, etc. So he took out the nurse, right? He also takes out that newspaper guy. That's the scene before he's dancing like the night before. So what if the newspaper
and the
guy,
the people at the club,
Yeah.
or is that the day after? I don't know.
well, that's the day after, but in between that, he takes out those 3 police. So the thing is, like, let's say if you feed on one person, maybe that gives you 12 hours. If he fed on 3 people, that's like a day and a half. That's what I mean. So
Fair enough.
again, the movie does not tell you that. It's not like I'm just trying to headcanon, but that was my way of, okay, if you're consuming the human blood, that's more raw, that's more just real. That's why Matt Smith is, and even then, when he goes to that club, he feeds on 3 guys again. So he's like mass feeding, where Morbius is just having these little like blood packs that are synthetic. So that's how I took it. And I think the reason when he would sometimes Morbius like turn a little bit, I think it was just he was almost getting close to that form. So when he took the blood, it was going through his system. It was like fighting it back and forth. That's the way I took it. But they also showed in that scene with Milo, which I really liked it, when Milo saves them and they get the blood. Like, again, I like the friendship there. When he was getting mad at him, he started to turn the Morbius. I think that also showed it was like a Hulk thing where he could lose control. Even at any point, he could just turn into this vampire. And man, I hated the line, "I'm getting hungry and you won't like me when I'm hungry."
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. This is not your universe. Stay in your lane. I was like, oh my, it just was cringe. No one in my theater laughed. Like, not even like a so bad it's good. It was just like, oh, like, I don't know about this line.
And
but
even the way he pronounced it, it's like he was saying like hangry. Like he was really really digging into it. But
they knew what they were doing. They knew
Yeah.
exactly what they were going
They
for.
did.
Yeah.
And then I joked about this earlier, but him checking his watch all the time, like the tension of that just did not work for me at all. Like I think they should just cut that part of it, because like we get it, he needs to feed every once in a while. We don't need to see him checking his watch. I just got bored. Like I was tired of that, like the second time they showed it, and then they showed his watch like another 7 times. I swear, I don't know why they kept going back to this watch. I didn't feel like it was necessary at all to understand where the character's at and what's happening to him. It was a bit over the top.
Or like either that, or to me double down and make it a big, like, it is always a ticking clock, because we never get a good sense of time. So that when they arrest him, the next time we see him in the prison, he's like shaking, he's like losing it. If they would have really emphasized like almost, you could have done like a ticking clock sort of way of like, oh man, he is close to breaking, anything go bad. But it was just like, no, he was fine, he was running away, and then all of a sudden he's worse off. We don't know the amount of time that's passed, we don't know what's happened. So it did feel like inconsequential and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think they tried to show some emphasis on it being like, you got to drink or it's just going to be mayhem, but it was just really inconsistent, and it took me out of, like you just said, Travis, like it was inconsequential. Like there wasn't much stakes on the fact of them not making their feeding times. Otherwise, hell's going to raise or let loose. And I think a big part of that for me personally was the Matt Smith stuff. You guys brought up some arguments, that kind of saves it, but I think it just wasn't clear enough for the viewer. Like I personally think with how little was really shown on him, like consuming, he should have just been a vampire like 24/7, especially because it would show the other side of like, this person took the serum and they love being a vampire. They want to feed into, no pun intended there, but they wanted to feed into that animalistic vampire side of like, if you don't consume, you're going to be just stronger and just more wild. And I feel like he liked that, but majority of the time when he was on screen, he was just Matt Smith being this hustler dude that just like dancing around and being this vampire who loves being a vampire, but he
loved it. Yeah,
it seems like it seems like he can just pull on that power whenever he wants, and I didn't really like that element of it.
Well, and that's what maybe we should jump to, because like I've talked about Matt Smith, I liked him a lot in this movie. Like I said, I think he was really going for it. So I appreciate that he wasn't playing the role boring, because the character is boring, because it's just
the role.
Yeah, he didn't phone it in, and because the character is, hey, I'm diseased like my friend Michael Morris. I guess when they're kids, they show at one point he like beats at that bully, but to me, it wasn't a moment where if they're trying to emphasize like, oh, he's a little bit more of an edgy kid. It's like, no, this guy was like making fun of him. He tripped him. He beat him up. Like, I would not blame a kid for going in for a few more shots, because it's like he already has a very tough life, and you have these bullies just beating on him. So I feel like if they're using that child scene to show like, yeah, he is a bit more of a recluse than Michael is, they should have done something a bit more or made him act a bit more violent, because I felt like even in present day when we meet him, Milo seems like a pretty nice guy. He seems to even kill. So the fact that it went to, okay, he's Milo, to he's taking this cure, obviously not cure, curse, but he's taking this, and then it's just, I'm going to kill everybody because I want to live my entire life. I've never got to do it, so I will kill anybody. Doesn't matter who they are, random newspaper guy, police. Like, even if I would like
the guy that he like took care of him his whole life, the handler, takes him out.
I would have liked if there was some slant that he was pitching to Michael of like, yeah, we could just take out bad people, and then maybe he loses control and it's not that. But it was just, no, I'm going to kill whoever. And that was not what I took from the Milo that we met for the first act. I felt like he was still a nice, decent guy who has some bad luck with this disease. But no, he was just down like he was fuck the world. He didn't care, and that's when I kind of lost interest as far as the character, other than Matt Smith having a like performing well, you know.
There was many moments when I thought we were gonna get like more to that character, but they made it pretty clear that it's just this is gonna be the villain of the movie.
Yes.
He's gonna die at the end. Like this is what's gonna happen. But like I liked initially when when he's just getting ready in the morning. Like I imagine someone that had like a blood disorder like that their entire life has never had the just freedom to do push-ups like on their own because they're just so frail, and like he's dancing around. I really like that stuff when he goes to the club and he's like trying to hook up with that attractive lady. Like he's probably never maybe he has had some nice sexual experiences. He's pretty rich.
But not like this one.
But not like this.
Not
like,
where he
could
could
just
use
go
his
out
full body.
and like use just like his attractiveness and like just like, you know, swoo a lady over that way. And I think I like that stuff, that he's just finally getting to just have fun with life because he's not handicapped. So that's I like that stuff, but it's just really glossed over. it was just no, I'm just full evil and let's just go fuck everyone up. And I think there was a moment before he gets the serum in the lab of, I didn't particularly like the scene for what was going on, but I like the character moment when Morbius is like trying to say no, and then Lucian, I'm just gonna call him by his real name, give him some respect on his name. Like Lucian is like he feels betrayed. Like I've been funding this my whole like however much money like
that was my
time I've been
boat.
funding it. Yeah, it's my boat. And like he's got to just be frustrated that like I see you looking great right now. Obviously, it's kind of weird that you're asking for blood and stuff like this, but like I have my crutches right now and you don't. Like you are just like you have the serum that you could give me. And I did like how frustrated he looked in that moment. And then when Morbius snaps at him, he looks really feared. Again, Matt Smith being a great actor selling that scene. So that was really great. But I think they showed enough where I was like, okay, we are gonna get a good character, and then they just took it away from me and I kind of felt betrayed in that sense.
I think the additional part that seemed off to me was this. It was really a throwaway line, but it is pretty significant, is that he was jealous of Morbius and he felt that he was given all this attention growing up, and he was the favorite between I guess from the handler guy, like the caretaker that they had at the orphanage or the care.
A lot of missing scenes there, I think, that we
to me I don't know what was going on there, because there was really only one line about it, but it seems like that's pretty significant. I almost wonder if that was the writers, whatever, they were making the movie, they're like, you know what, I don't know if this is fully deserved yet. We need to add a little bit more fuel to the fire to make this believable, and so they just add this line in there. But then it's like, no, you gotta back that line up. You gotta have something else in the movie. Either maybe it's mentioned before, he makes some joke about it, perhaps, or we see a scene of that, because there's no reason for us to believe that. So it just comes across as a really weird throwaway line.
Even the guy
takes away from the story.
He's like, if anything, you're the favorite. I've been with you your whole life. Like, I'm here every day trying to help you. And that's just like, okay, this is the part where Miles is going to have a good comeback and say something that will agree with them. And he's just like, you're a liar. You know, it's like, okay, we got nothing here. And this is where, if people will remember, if not, you can go back to the very first trailer. There was a scene, which that's why I know there's cut scenes. There is a scene of Leto as an adult, and he's talking to the father figure. I'll look at IMDb and get his actual name in a second here. But he's like talking about like, oh, when is a cure really bad? Like when do you stop? And he's like, when when fixing the cure when fixing the ailment becomes worse than the ailment and stuff like that. And there's a scene, and one, I think that I would like some more scenes with them, because the only scene they have in as adult is when he goes to speak to Milo, and they're just like, hey, we should work together more. You should stop around. Yeah, maybe I will. And that's all. That's the only scene. So there is confirmed scenes of more. And that's where I think maybe one, I would like to see them interact a bit more. So when they hit that death scene, which I guess that is the other scene, and when he gets the award, but when that death scene, I think would have hit a bit more. And two, I think there probably was some of this maybe storyline of favoritism or something that could have been the film, but they just took it right out. And if they took it right out, they should just took the line out. They should just had it that he's trying to stop him, or he's trying to get him help, and this guy's just off his hinges and kills him. And it's weird because he felt like he was using him as bait, but he didn't really. Michael Morbius just finds him dead, and then he leaves again, you know?
Man, what a disappointing appearance from that character. Honestly, for me, I like that actor. Everything I've seen him in, I think he was in Chernobyl, that little mini series
He
that
is,
happened.
yeah.
Really great actor, at least for like the roles that I've seen him in. And like just in the trailers, I'm like, oh, he's part of this project. I hope it's a good time. And he was such a side character, like even more so than some of the other ones that were shown. I felt personally like he's only kind of just there to be the guardian in the opening sequences. I felt, and he just takes such a backseat as soon as they become men. And yeah, I was definitely disappointed by that. I was hoping for more when he goes to like actually confront Lucian, but then he just gets fucked up, and I'm like, man, what a waste of a character. I felt like he could have like the lines that you guys were just talking about. Like there's potential for him to be just a good middle ground for both those characters, because he's been like he's seen them at their weakest and he's seen them now at their strongest, and like he could just be a good mediator between the two. I'm not saying he has to live through the movie, but just like his death just seemed really meaningless. Like Morbius was just like, oh no, you're dead. Okay, I'm gonna go move on with my life. Like he was a keystone for their youth. I feel like he could have, like he's literally what put Morbius in the situation that he was in of becoming a doctor, right? Like he got him like that scholarship to the school in New York or whatever they're talking about in the beginning of the movie. Like he just really saw his potential, and I feel like to just have him just become this like nothing character, that was a big no for me, a big negative of the movie personally.
Yeah, they just forgot about him, and that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
It's I don't even really understand what he's doing at his place. Like, is he helping him in some way, or is he just hanging out magically at these two times when it's like important to the story?
He's in the
So
same
I don't know if it
D&D
was just a
party as
coincidence.
Lucian.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's also obviously the death, which we'll talk about. It's not a true death of Martine, but then also of Milo. And for me, like obviously Jared Leto, like supposedly he's got some acting chops. Personally, I've never seen a movie where he's showing them off that much. But I'm not saying he doesn't have. He's won an Oscar.
Dallas Buyers Club. He's great.
He's probably got something on his record. But I feel like those are three big character moments, and none of them really get any sort of big emotional scene from Morbius as a character for me. Especially Milo's the one that really falls flat when he obviously stabs him with the antidote thing that ends up killing him. I just feel like he has no reaction to that whatsoever. Like I get it, he's turned into a bad guy, he's done some really bad shit, but that still is your best friend, your brother, your only family pretty much for your whole life. And well, other than this caretaker guy as well, who doesn't get any sort of justification either. But it didn't work for me. Like I guess if any of them work, the Martine one works the best. But I can't even say that one worked for me in an emotional way. Did you guys feel similarly, or did any of those scenes kind of hit you?
No, not really. I think I agree with you that like the death, like I felt like Matt Smith was really selling the scene, and Leto was not at all. Like Leto, I don't know if it was a choice that they said, "Hey, you're cold here," or that was his choice. Whoever made the choice, there could have been a bit more. Again, he did just kill Martine, but then even then, make him be angry about it. Make him be like, like just show me an emotion. But he's just there looking like the Morbius face and like, all right, cool. No, I feel like none of this, like if any emotion I got was maybe from Matt Smith a little bit, but none of the side characters really did much for me here. Including the biggest problems of this, not the biggest problems, but like the cops are, I mentioned this, the non-spoilers, but I think they should just cut that entirely out. It was pointless. The guy who's playing Rodriguez, not his humor. It was really tough. It was like the definition of dad jokes. Tyrese was not like great. Like they're not bad, but just I take it all out. Not
very forgettable.
Yeah.
I love the description of his comedy as tough. It's just it's tough, man.
It's nails on a chalkboard. And I said to Emily, every time we get to them, like fuck, like we like they're not actually in the movie that much, but we go back to them after every like big action set piece. And we always see them, and they're traveling the globe too. They're on the boat. They're like, I just was every time they come on the screen,
maybe
like,
they can fly as well. Who knows?
Yeah, I want a fan cut of the movie without them, because they kept coming up like, no, please, like let's not, because they do the same thing every time. Oh, looks like something crazy's here. Oh, Venom reference. Oh, vampire reference, joke, and then it's the same thing over and over again. Oh
yeah, it was funny. There's this one moment when Tyrese's character is like thanking Morbius for like, you saved my arm when I lost it in Afghanistan, wherever the war was that he was fighting.
He said
at the
Afghanistan,
time. Yeah, and at first I just kind of assumed it was because of like the artificial blood, and then later on in the movie you see like Tyrese has like his sleeves rolled up and he just has like an artificial arm, and I was like, what?
Oh, really?
You might have missed that.
I thought it
yeah.
was the blood too. I totally missed that.
No, yeah, he had
Well-
an artificial arm, and then in the lab, there's just like one of the artificial arms like on his desk, and then I didn't really think much
really?
of it. I didn't really think much of it, and then later on when I see Tyrese, I'm like, what the fuck? He's actually like a prosthetics expert as well.
He has a big prosthetic arm too, like it's big in metal and stuff like that. Yeah.
What
I'm like,
the
this is
hell?
like
I
their Winter
totally
Soldier
missed
of the
this.
Sony universe.
Oh yeah, if you search,
I thought it was that magic blue blood that was going on there.
Yeah, me too. Initially,
yeah, if you search the character, there were shots of him in the trailer having that arm because he is a comic book character, of course. And that's like a tribute to it. But yeah, I still thought it was the blood, and I thought like the arm thing was somebody else that did that to him, that helped him out. But yeah, Michael
Maybe it was
Morbius
his
is great.
other arm that was saved.
they
Yeah,
put like
yeah.
zero spotlight on it. That's why I just
Oh, yeah.
chuckled because like you like obviously you didn't see it, Dylan, but like I like barely saw it, and then just because I had saw like the prosthetic arm on Morbius's desk back at the lab, that's what kind of brought the memory up into my frontal cortex there. But
Yeah, same thing with that. There's shots from the trailers that have been cut with Tyrese and stuff like that. So he was in this movie more, which, I'm glad they could have cut him a little more, but there were some shots of showing off that arm, I guess.
I think they should have shown like the arm when Morbius like initially like runs from them, just to like have it in there for a reason other than just being like, this character has this feature and it's such a side character that we don't even need to put emphasis on what he has. But I guess if he's a comic book character, bit of an Easter egg because they didn't have much.
Yeah, that's what
use
it
for
is.
It.
Yeah, just an Easter egg, Let's take another ad break. Let's keep going here and keep talking about Morbius. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So where do we want to go next here?
I have two quick things and then like a bigger topic. I mean,
Okay.
you mentioned the Venom reference where they just talk about this big, this mishap in San Francisco. So I thought that was fine. Like it didn't bother me. And then I like that there's Daily Bugle in there as well. It's just a little thing. We're in Spider-Man world, so we're not. We aren't. It's but I thought they weren't over the top references. The Hulk one was, but those two I thought were just quick little nods to this universe that we're in. But Martine, I guess we should talk about this.
Right.
Who,
yes.
Martine, she's dead, but then she's not. She apparently was infected from who knows. I don't know if it was from which one of them.
It was his
both,
blood.
probably.
Well, no, I think when they kiss, they show a scene where Morbius's blood falls into her mouth.
Okay.
That's what did
Okay.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because that's what I was wondering. Like, why is she the only person who's been infected, at least that we know of, when all these other people have been getting murked by them, and no one else has been infected? So I guess there was. I couldn't really tell what was going on in that rooftop with the blood.
It was such a weird sequence. I'm like, did she just like bite his tongue or something?
Yeah.
It's just like a very, very intense sexual kiss.
Because it's weird. Like because I don't know why she would bite. Like, so here's the thing.
It's a risky move.
Well, it is, but I thought she was gonna do something to draw blood from her own mouth, so it would like kind of like, hey, like do this, because I really like the setup of, hey, this guy's killed me, I'm dying, make it worth it, and I like that. Oh, this is really fucked up. Like this is a woman that he likes, and that's probably why they did a love angle. This is a woman that he's at least has some emotional connection to. He's gonna drink her blood just to power up. Yeah, that's fucking weird. Weird that I like, because that's just like, that's very tragic and stuff. But then they kiss, and then she bites his lip, and it's like, one, you don't need to do this because she's gushing blood on the side there.
A lot of blood.
But yeah, it was a strange type of scenario. And even then, I felt earlier when she like got the cut, and I thought that's when I knew she was gonna be a vampire, because they don't set it up there. But she asked him like, oh, what's it feel like? He's like, it's like an animal instinct. And then he's like, can you please close up that wound? And he leaves, and she sucks her finger, and it's almost like she's like tasting the blood to know what it tastes like. Yeah, and that's just like, oh no, at some point it's gonna happen, and it did.
I definitely felt in that moment, I'm like, she's she's not dead. Something else is going on here. And then I
Yeah.
just kind of forgot about it, and I was like, oh, of course we're doing this with some cheesy like her waking up thing.
My favorite thing though is this guy who can sense people across the world. Literally, this woman's waking up. What's he doing? He's just flying right over her and leaving. Like he didn't like sense that she's alive. Like I don't know. It was a strange
Yeah,
beat.
I
but
thought he was okay. We're gonna get to the end credit scene, but initially I thought it was gonna be her just like flying up, and then they just like hold hands and like face off. There goes my hero. Can you
I guess
imagine? Just
from
like rolls credits.
let us fuck.
I guess from the
You just
angle
look
of
up,
like,
you see two vampires in the sky just going at it. You're like, how
Just
they
blood
doing
going
that?
everywhere.
it's like
Yeah.
oh,
yeah.
I guess she does actually die, right? It's like the rat. Like the rat did
Yes.
die for a while and then came back. But you're right, because there is other moments where he's detecting things like across the city. But I guess he still is honing that skill, right? Like he's specifically looking for her for like a couple minutes before he finds her in the first place. So I guess it makes sense why he wouldn't have detected her in this moment when he kind of wrote her off. But I wonder what's going to happen with Martine in the future of the Sonyverse here.
I hope nothing, but I feel like they like she's alive for like I almost was like, okay, good, she's dead. He can whatever happens, a team up or a sequel, he's on his own. He's by himself. We don't got any baggage. It's gonna be Michael Morbius trying to find his way in the world. Maybe he'll bump into a Felicia Hardy, but no, she wakes up. So now they can definitely be together because they don't got to worry about anything of like him. Because I also thought like risky move. You had this moment where she cut herself and he was ready to pounce. He was like a dog, like protecting his territory, and then she's kissing him. I wouldn't be kissing this dude because like what happened? What if even just like being that close to you? He's like, oh yeah, but like I thought the timing of the scene of him almost killing her to kissing way too close together. Should have been some time in between.
I didn't know what was gonna happen when he's like, "Close your eyes, come
Yeah.
close to me." That was such a weird way to like engage
Next
a
moment,
kiss.
ah!
Yeah, like honestly, like my mind was going there over a kiss. I had no
This
idea
guy
what was
just
gonna
killed
happen in the
8
moment.
dudes 2
I thought
days
maybe
ago.
he was gonna carry her and just fly like Superman and Lois Lane. Like I just had no
With
idea
the
what was gonna
bat.
happen, and then the kiss happened, and it was just so weird. I think just their dynamic I just wasn't fully diving into, because in the beginning of the movie, I don't want to talk about what we already talked about. In the beginning of the movie, like she seems like she's kind of one to like call him on his shit and like kind of keep him in the right lane, and I really liked her just being like this right side. And then she just, in my opinion, pretty wild to just like accept to go into international waters with like a group of goons, and then just like I'm assuming he's not paying her to do this, so she's just doing it for fun.
Well,
Hopefully
no,
she
I
has
think
someone
she-
looking
no,
after a cat
I
or
think
something.
she's
Like
getting
it
some
was
money.
it was just weird. It was, well, yeah,
I don't
she's
even
a
think it's
doctor.
I don't think it's even money. I think that they do establish at least like they're friendly, so it's like, hey, this could be a chance to cure me. So I think
True.
she
Okay,
understands
yes.
that. But I did think it
I'll
was
lead into
weird that she was calling him out on this being like highly unethical, and then she's on that boat. I was like, I need a little bit more of reasoning why she's there. You
Yeah,
know?
and then from that point in the movie, she's just like in love with him, and
Yeah.
like it
Well,
just
look how hot he got. He had big abs. He was muscly and stuff like that.
true. And I feel like personally, I wanted more emphasis on her, like maybe commenting on like what's the best way to say this?
I always
like,
loved you, even
like-
before your body.
Yeah, like the character of Michael Morbius, like being a frail individual, and now he's just. I mean, he doesn't even really go through a change like on screen for
No.
us. He's just the one that's trying to stop Milo. I fucked up. His name's Lucian, boys.
Milo now.
But she didn't seem like a believable character in my eyes. At least enough, to really sell me on it. So. And now that she's back, it's just okay. I don't know
get
what
more
we're
of
going to
her.
be going here. I very much just thought of the first Venom when the love interest in that movie just takes the symbiote suit, and she doesn't keep it, but like we just get her moment. That's exactly where my mind went, especially just like in the Sonyverse. So I don't know. I hope I grow to like her more, but I'm not overjoyed that she's going to be kicking ass and back.
we didn't get the deep dive into who her character was before the transformation, really. So it'll be weird to feel connected to this who could be a villain. Or
She's the new
something.
Lucian, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
We can do whatever
It'll
we
hard
want,
to feel
Morbius.
connected to her when we don't know anything about her life. What her
You were
life
always
looks
the favorite. You're winning awards. The kids liked you better. I hope that cat survives
Oh
too,
my
because like I
God.
feel like if she's getting like that, because they
Very cute
say Milo and Morbius are like, well, the first time it happens, it's uncontrollable, right? So let's hope she just doesn't go home, and if not, she's gonna bump into some poor random family downtown in New York, and they're just screwed, like that first kill, she can't control it. So I would have loved if she killed the cops or the FBI agents. That would have been great because it would have been a twofer if she
Mm.
did something bad and they'd be gone.
Yeah, a
But
lot of
no,
people die in this movie, but unfortunately not those cops for you, Travis. They're still
no,
around.
no,
So they'll be
they
back.
made it out.
It's the
Even
arm.
past,
You can't break through the arm.
yeah, even
For a
past
psycho.
Morbius is like twister of bats flying out of there. They survived that. So
God damn.
And they put so much emphasis on like these bats can kill like 10 times
first
their
line of
body
the
weight,
movie,
and
yeah.
they're so vicious. Oh, they'll tear anyone apart other than me. They see me as a brother, and they don't give a fuck about anyone else.
That was very much like in Spider-Man, like the very first one, Toby, and they're like, "What's the spider do?" And the doctor's like, "Oh, it can have super sense. It can sense things. It's like or super strength. It's all this." And it's like pretty much you giving, oh, it's laying out the powers of what Spider-Man's gonna be. And yeah, when they look at, they're going to this like island, the cave, and the guy's like, "What happened to this like cow?" It's like, "Oh, bats are a mysterious creature. They're light as air, but they can take down things 10 million times the size of them." Like just laying out like, okay, this is what Morbius can do, I guess, right? And it
Yeah.
was just so fun. And I still want to
It's
know, like,
it's necessary, I guess, to like
it
just like
is,
lay the grounds
but
of what
it's
Morbius can
cheesy,
do.
yeah.
It is very cheesy.
And my favorite thing is because we jumped 25 years later. What happened in that cave? Because those bats come, those guys get in the copter and they fly out of there. Like, it was Morbius just sitting there for a couple hours, like, "Hey, please come back." Like what
With his
happened?
crutches.
Yeah, just come on. I'm paying you, or Milo's paying you at least. So,
We'll
oh
never
yeah.
know.
They never explained what that machine did, too. Was it just to capture the bats? Was that the only
Guess-
reason? It was just like
yeah.
a big net. Okay.
Yeah,
I
and I
think
guess probably to help with sleep cycles because they're out of their environment and stuff like that. But even then, I love, like, I know it's just like that same thing like the expedition, like a movie, like he has to stand in the middle of these bats. But I still was like, why are we doing this? Like he just got in the scene, and the bats didn't look great CGI wise, and I actually didn't like them in the final fight because I get it, but I don't when it's like he can call upon them. But the same thing with the powers, like why can Milo not call upon them?
Exactly, man. Like when they were flying to the building, I knew exactly what was gonna happen. I've seen
Yes.
Batman Begins. I know how this goes. And then like in my mind though, I'm like, okay, they're just gonna be on Morbius' side, but it doesn't make any sense why they
No.
will, because he even had the line
He's
of
the
like,
good guy. He's
because
the good
he has
one.
the serum, like, oh, they see me as a brother. He took the exact same serum as you did,
Yes.
Morbius. Why would they not see him as a brother? But it's,
Yeah. Did they have
Sure.
some meeting? They're like, "Hey, that Milo guy, he killed some police officers."
yeah, he prepped
We're-
them on the mission.
Yeah, we're with. Yeah, he did. He's like, "This is a bad guy. He's taking advantage. You want to be with me, Michael Morbius, Doctor Michael Morbius." And it felt very cheesy. But also, I was going to add though, is at the end when all those scenes were coming, or all the bats were coming in the scene, I thought, you know what? There's too many. I know they're trying to emphasize how many bats there are, but it got to that point again where I can't see what the fuck's going on. Like I can't even see Morbius on screen. I just see bats. Like take out 25% of these bats and we're good to go. But they were covered.
When they leave too, and they're like in the sky. For a second, I thought they were gonna like form like Morbius's symbol or something. Like
Just a
I
big
thought
M.
I thought we were gonna go that far in the cheese factor. It was I was worried.
I thought
it didn't
so,
happen,
too.
but there was so many of them.
Well, there's at
There
one
was a
point where
lot.
there's like a giant M falling off a building, right? You see that at some
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
So I thought it would be the same thing with the bats too.
Because Michael, at one point in the fight, he was getting bodied. He took one slash to the
Majority
stomach.
of the fight.
He
Majority of
was-
the fight, he was getting bodied.
Yeah,
I'd
you're
say.
right. Yeah, he got one slash to the stomach, and I love that he's like starting to fall back, and then Milo just picks him up and throws him up against that billboard, which makes the M fall. But yeah, there's so much of him just getting pinballed that I thought it was gonna be more than just like a slash to the stomach that would like really take him out. But that's his weakness, his stomach blows. Like it was his father figure's weakness too, right? That killed him was a stomach blow. So like he was crawling around. Like I was like, man, Mike, it's not looking good for Michael Morbius here. But good thing there was some water to send some I don't know, sounds to the bats and everything like that. And they got out of that container that they were locked in. I don't know how that happened, but maybe he had open just in cases, so
I told you, he prepped them. They knew the mission.
100%. Anything in the main film to talk about?
One quick thing. I was kind of eye rolling when it happened, but it's when And I actually chuckled. So maybe I should start with this. Nobody in my theater laughed at any point in this movie, which I just thought was strange.
Same.
Honestly, there was cheesy
It was
moments
like you're
that
in
I'm like,
court.
yeah, no, like I thought maybe people are gonna like be like, oh, they said Venom in the movie, ha ha ha, like the old crowd, or maybe just like the group of kids. Not a single like chuckle happened in the movie, other than myself in this moment when he initially like stabs the mouse, and then it didn't work, it died. Okay, how do we get these people to not look at the mouse for a second? Oh no, there's an emergency with that young patient. They like run down the hall and like right outside the door, which I think this is such an inconsistency. They can like see the mouse from the hospital bed of where they are, and it's just like
his dangerous
Michael,
bat lab.
it worked.
His dangerous
just-
bat lab is feet away from this little girl.
It's very weird.
I thought that was so corny, and like we don't ever see that little girl ever again in the movie. I don't think. Like the
No.
only reason why she's having this like medical emergency is just to get them out of the room, so to have enough time for the mouse to come back to life, so
We
they can
see
be like,
her-
Morbius,
You see
it
her once more.
worked.
We
I'm
see
gonna
her one
follow
more
you to
time.
international waters.
Yeah.
And what does Morbius look like in that moment? He's
Hot.
jacked, and nobody fucking comments on it. Like even the patient, like, why aren't you limping right now?
She's asleep. I think Michael was just checking on her because he's a good guy. Michael Morris is a good guy. He came
Great
in.
guy.
Yeah.
You win
he
this
turned
this episode of Debaters, but I still don't like it.
he turned down like a Nobel Peace Prize, or so, which like
That
like,
doesn't
why-
make you a good guy, though.
Such
That's
a
not
Jared
just that
Leto
No,
move.
he's
Like what a
humble.
cocksucker.
Okay, here's my thing. Michael Morbius, he's a humble guy. He doesn't need the award for. What I didn't understand is why.
Oh no, save that thought, Travis. Save that thought.
Why? It ended right on why.
I know. I'm always worried he's gonna lose his train of thought too.
It
When that
ended
They
right
did-
on why.
Yeah, they didn't want.
Yeah.
They didn't want me to say this, but so he's getting this award. Why did he go through the trouble to get dressed up and have everyone come there and think that Michael Morbius is going to accept this award, and then he gets on stage and is
Good
like,
point.
"I don't want this award."
And he like basically embarrassed his like caretaker that he's had his whole life, because he's like he's presenting him. He's like my number one buddy
Esteemed.
from.
I love this man. He has impressed me since day one. He's done so much. He's
He
making
will never
prosthetic
embarrass
arms.
me. Yeah.
Man, in
yeah,
hindsight,
yeah.
I really wish we got to see what he said. That could have been very fun.
From the trailer, there is a
Fuck
scene of
you,
him
fuck
at
you.
the there's a scene of him at that podium with the microphone in front of him. So in the trailer, he did speak, but we don't know what he said. So there's
Yeah.
gonna be, hashtag release the Morbius cut. But
No. Don't start
no,
that.
no. But yeah, what a fucking asshole. But I think what they're trying to do is he was humble, right? He's humble. He's doing the work because he wants to help people, not for the notoriety. But again, don't show up. Just say, you know what? I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that prize. I don't want that award.
Such an extra way of going about it. Like, they
Yeah.
set up all these things. Like, so many people want to be in your shoes, and he's just like, no, I don't. What was even the reasoning? Like, I don't want to accept a award that I feel like I haven't fulfilled that goal,
Yeah.
or something along the lines. Which, the way I said it sounds good, but
Yeah.
Should
Which was
save
true.
that guy's arm, possibly, but maybe not. So he's
Mhm.
done some good for the world. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's helping that girl and stuff. It seems like, and even the blood that he created, they said that it has saved thousands of lives, right? So he's definitely
Mhm.
saving lives. He's just like, he's upset that he hasn't been able to figure out this disease. He can't get to the
And
bottom of this, and clearly
they-
because he does say like the clock's ticking, I could go at any
Yep.
moment, which is probably not a good thing to live with,
And I even like again, this is the Jared Leto performance that I really liked of him as Morbius, when Dr. Martine is like basically like she wants him to stop this like pursuit that could possibly kill him, or just like focusing so much time. That's where she drops the line of like, you could lose your license, just like going this way because you're just
Mhm.
doing tests on bats and stuff like this. And then he drops the line, which I did like, of like oh no, I'm gonna be paraphrasing.
I
'cause don't
won't
remember
need it that
exactly.
much longer. Like he says something like that. Like I
Even
I
other than
won't
that,
need
it's
yeah.
like how like I've spent my whole life like trying to achieve this goal. How could I possibly quit now, or like how could I live with myself if I just stop this, because this is my life's goal. Again, paraphrasing there, I apologize, but still, like I really like that line, and I felt like his motivations for what he was doing, I really was jiving with at that point, at least in that explanation. And I feel like I had a transition there, and I completely just lost my train of thought, so I'll just pass it along to you lads.
Dylan, do you have anything else from the main movie to show? Because obviously we're going to tell end credits. We'll save that
Post-credits,
for the end, and that's going to be a big one. So
Yeah, I think my last note is just the score was unexceptional. There's not really any moments for music that stood
Great
out. So
wording.
just worth shouting out because I feel like we've been talking. We usually in all of our reviews we do mention the score in some way, and there was nothing here that stood out to me or did anything interesting.
There was
so just one last dig for me.
Unexceptional.
Yeah.
That's
There was
such a
one
great
moment-
descriptor.
I think it's actually in that same scene I was talking about when he pulls out the bat and he's doing like this mini autopsy on the bat and he's like he's like explaining what the bats do and
Yeah.
he's pulling out the organs and stuff and there's this music as if I'm like expecting a jump scare about to happen, like it was just like impending doom and like nothing happened in the scene, but it was just such a weird like sound choice in that scene. Really stood out to me. Great.
Well, the poor bat
unexceptional
got
pull.
mutilated, so that maybe
Oh,
if you're
yeah.
a bat, that scene is really scary.
There's two things. One, I had that same moment when the father figure Milo were talking. The type of music they were playing to me did not fit at all. They were playing like some scarier, kind of very heavy music, but they were still at the point of just talking at that point. So it was the music telling me like, "Hey, this is gonna go bad." Yeah, it's like let me figure out that it's gonna go bad first, and not the music be like, "He's gonna kill him. He's gonna kill him." So that
Yeah.
happened. Then also we forgot to mention that he makes a little paper mache's Blade Runner style for people, and
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that's what I like. My favorite thing is they're like, well, where were you? I was, just being Dr. Michael Morbius and everything. Like, well, we found this on the boat. We want to explain this. And he can be like, yeah, I fucking gave it to her. I guess she brought it with her, dude. Like, like what? The second they're like, we found this, he buckled. He completely had no idea.
He's not
he
a lawyer.
he started attacking those cops. This paper mache thing took him down. The easiest way to explain it, like, well, I work with all the time. I appreciate her work. I give this to other patients, friends, and stuff. She's kept it. I'm very thankful for her friendship. And no, you're like, oh shit, he started going and everything. I guess no, it's more when they're gonna put the cuffs on him because then he has to get there. But still, just felt like he completely showed his hand in that moment for such a small thing. But
I like that he had a hobby. Like it was a fun little detail that he's doing this.
Yeah.
The origami, Travis, that's the word, not paper mache.
The origami killer, just like
what
a
is
heavy
paper mache?
That's like when you take a balloon and you make like newspaper and you like cement it, sort of.
He's doing that too, just like the arms. He has a different lab with the paper mache. It's like all those little things he makes.
A lot of hobbies.
He has a huge, big, bad paper mache in his office.
You thankfully reminded me of what I was going to bring up, which I just found another hilarious point of this movie of. Like Dr. Michael Morbius is not like a recluse individual. Like he's very well known. He's made artificial blood, which saved more lives than penicillin, which is a big fucking deal. He's, apparently making
like Tony
artificial
Stark
limbs.
in this universe.
Like essentially, yeah. Like everybody knows of this fucking man. And then like imagine just being someone that's just like you're taking your artificial blood and you're like, man, Dr. Michael Morbius is just the greatest individual that's ever like Albert Einstein level. Like this is a once in a generation individual. And then you're just like watching the news one day and you just like apparently he's just like a murderer. He's just like a mass murderer. And you're like, what the fuck? I just saw him and he was like a cripple. Like how is he supposed to be murdering people?
And not just a mass murderer, a vampire mass murderer. And my favorite thing is like, and we think there's a copycat vampire killer. What? What does that even mean?
And they're like imposing curfew like on the city, like don't go outside. This crippled vampire mass murderer is out there.
Like if like you're right. If I'm a normal person in this world watching the news, like it'd be like if Steve Jobs when he was still around just started to kill people, like this is crazy. And then also on top of that, he's a vampire. Oh, and guess what? There's another one too, and this is in the span of like 2 days. Like if especially me having kids, if there was Michael Morbius might be a vampire and there is a copycat vampire aside him, oh my god, my kids would not be going to school. Nothing. Like in 2 days. Vampires just popped up.
And to like take it another level, like imagine this doctor like saved your kids' lives. So it's like like this is like I probably have an altar of him on my fireplace, and the next thing you know, he's like a mass vampire murderer. Like how do you wrap your head around that?
Oh yeah.
And they just don't talk about that in the movie. I just found that so hilarious. Of like. Yeah, we go from him just being on a pedestal, and then there's just this news line, like Dr. Michael Morbius, vampire mass murderer. Like, it was just such a funny moment to me.
Yeah.
Such a funny moment.
I think he has a line where he's like, it's been a pretty crazy week for me.
Absolutely. Decline the Nobel Peace Prize or Science Prize, whatever the hell he was getting. To where
vampire, killed brother figure, yeah.
I think that's another thing that kind of shocked me was just like the public nature of him just being known as a vampire. Like when he is confronted by the cops there and they're investigating like a vampire murderer or someone that fits that description, and then he just like bursts out like broad daylight, like straight out of the lobby, like use the vampire powers on those cops. So those cops know, they ended up catching him in that very same scene, but still, like my mind was just like, wow, I'm kind of shocked that it's not like there's this mysterious vampire that's out there like fighting crime or hurting people. It was just, nope, that's Dr. Michael Morbius. It was just something I really wasn't expecting. I'm not really used to seeing that. I know in like the MCU, our heroes are a lot more public now. Like we kind of know their identities. Not Spider-Man anymore. Nobody knows who the hell that guy is. But it was just kind of shocking for me because I don't think they showed any of that in the trailer of him just being like a well-known Dr. Michael Morbius is the vampire. So very odd.
The only scene I have left to shout that I did like was, and one good moment for Martine is when Milo's just hanging out on the lab. He's clearly waiting for Morbius like to fuck him up or something like that. She pops up and he wants some information. He says, "Do you know where Michael is?" Her heart starts to beat faster, and, and he's like, "I'm gonna ask you again." But she figures out that okay, clearly he can listen to the rhythm of my heart, so I'm gonna be as calm as possible and throws him off the track. What sucks is it didn't really work because he still just follows her around. Like it didn't. I wish they gave that moment a bit more for her, but I like that she was smart enough to go, okay, I know what he's doing here. I like the dialogue. Yeah, there's some cheesiness. He's like, I already ate, and like, oh, we'll have to get dinner another time. And there's some really unnecessary moment when the tape is up. He just walks. He's like, I'll see you later. Fuck it. Like he just like rips the tape down. It's like not needed at all, dude. Like that was a bit too extra for you, Matt Smith, but I guess he's just high on life right now.
Yeah. I personally didn't take that scene of her being clever. I thought it was just he knew that she was lying from the heartbeats, and he's just gonna follow her, and he does end up doing that because obviously the next scene is them macking out on the roof, or one of the following scenes. But I didn't really think that she was like controlling her heartbeat or anything like that.
It just slowed down though. Like they had the sound effect of it slowing down, so I thought that's what they were trying to put forward. Of it slowed down for a reason. But
whatever it was, I liked the way that scene was done. Just really creepy that he was just there. It makes sense why he would be able to there why he would be able to be there because he's the main funder. Like this is his whole building. I love just like the potential threat of that like toothpick that he had too. They put an emphasis of making it sound like a metallic object, like a weapon or something, and he just kept like playing around with it. And I didn't think she was going to die in the scene, but I thought he was going to threaten her there. And I just liked how it was kind of suspenseful, and then nothing really happened. No one got hurt except for that yellow tape, and I just like that the way that scene was done, and the added effect of the heartbeat sound was just, it was suspenseful, and it was a really good scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth mentioning because we bagged on her character quite a bit, but I think the acting's just solid from her. It's just character stuff that doesn't work so well.
I wasn't watching her being like she single-handedly is bringing this down. Just like, okay, there's not much for her to work with, and hopefully see her in something else, and maybe she'll be decent in that. So
I never want to be that actor that's single-handedly bringing down.
No, you don't mean that. That was Jared Leto in 2016.
I mean, I'm sure you would have mentioned this, Travis, but since you're more from the comic book background, like, is that a character like a Morbius, other vampire love interest character? Because obviously that character does not appear in the animated show, at least in any way I can remember. So.
Yeah, so I have to look because I'm not the biggest Morbius guy. Why I was calling her Bancroft, because that sounded familiar. That last name sounded familiar, but I don't know if like she's popped up before. But maybe I'll do a quick Google search here because I feel like I've heard that name before, but Bandcamp, Bancroft, stuff like that. But but no one that I really have much of a touchstone. Martine, she's a film character, blah blah blah. She's been in the 616, so she's been around she's been around for quite a while. Fangs Claus was the girlfriend of the Nobel Prize winning scientist Dr. Michael Morbius. She accompanied him to the ceremony when he received the award. Okay, so she has been around, so she is definitely she's been in a cult, stuff like that. So there you go. So she does have a history in the comics with him. Cool. So there you go.
in the animated show, do they like put emphasis that he's like this very well regarded doctor, or is he just a vampire? I
In the
can't remember.
animated
It's been
show,
so
that
long
He's
he's
just
since
like
I've
a
seen
dude
it.
in college.
yeah, he's in college, but he looks
Oh.
like he's 50 in the animated show,
I
and
love
he's
his hair. He's got nice hair in the animated show.
Yeah, it's like the blue streaks, and he's
Felicia.
and he's dating Felicia, and then like she's like comes off as 16, and he's like this 50-year-old dude, but he's supposed to be like also 20. It's a
That's
weird
weird.
dynamic, but yeah, he's just a college dude. He's an upstart.
Okay.
He he's trying his best, and same thing, bad fate for him. So, anything else in just the film?
Nope, I think we touched everything.
All right, let's take our last ad break because we're going to talk about the end credit scenes. And man, I got a lot to say on these end credit scenes because these were some juice, but maybe in all the wrong. What do you have to say?
I'll say it after the break.
Okay, we'll be right back. Yeah, we're slurping it up. Okay, we are back. So let's talk. Kirkland, what do you want to say?
I wanted to ask. So we get one end credit scene right away, and then a second one to follow briefly after. I just fucked off after that point. I'm like, I'm just assuming there's not one right at the very end. Did you guys stay? And is there one right at the end?
I did not stay just because I knew someone had told me there was just too many credits.
Okay,
Google,
so
I googled it really quickly, and it said
perfect.
there's no
Shay was going to work in like 10 minutes, so I wanted to race home to actually like say goodbye to her. So I'm like, I am just sacrificing. If there's like a, Tony Stark appears at the end of this, I'm just gonna have to
That would
swallow that
be
pill and
fucking
see it on
crazy.
YouTube
Oh
at a
my
later
God.
date. Yeah.
Well, two things. One, the end credits, like the actual like animations, very uninspiring. I thought they had nothing to do with the movie. They just look like a computer screensaver from the 1990s. I was like, what's happening here? Even the
Very
color, like,
unexceptional. As
yeah,
Dylan
they're
Must say.
unexceptional. And like even the
Unexceptional.
colors, it didn't even feel like the same purple that they like that's associated
Yeah.
with Morbius. So that was lame. One thing I have to mention though is the last shot of the movie is right. He's flying with all the bats are surrounding him. He flies in the camera. The second it cut to black, a dude in like the third row got up and just left. He was like Kirklin Bather, but he didn't even wait for it to be like directed by like the second it cut to black, he stood up. The lights weren't even on, and he stood up. He got the fuck out
He was
of there.
holding in his piss for a long time.
He did not care about any Michael Keaton or whatever it may be. So let's talk about the first one. So we've heard a lot about Michael Keaton all the way back to, if everyone remembers, the very first trailer. Oh, they're making a Morbius movie, and the end stinger is it's Michael Keaton, and he's there, right? But that scene completely cut, not in the film at all, because that scene there was multiple things cut from this film as far as the image. Remember, the other big thing too is Jared Leto walking by a poster of Spider-Man that said murder, completely gone. That has nothing to do. So if you're looking for some of that stuff, sometimes have you ever? So there's a movie. There's a movie called Yesterday, and Anna de Armas was in a small role, and she got cut. There's some people that are suing the company because they're like, "Oh, false advertising! You advertised her. I bought a ticket. I want money." And it's like for like 15 minutes, some whatever rate. Not that you could get that money, but you could make a case if you went to go see this trailer based on that Spider-Man thing, that Michael Keaton scene. There's so much from this movie cut. I am wondering what, like, it is a scenario where there's lots from the trailers that are not in this, but
I definitely forgot about the Spider-Man part of it, and it's been so long that I couldn't remember because I briefly remember that other Michael Keaton scene. I was like, was that in Venom? Like, was that in the first Venom?
Yeah.
And why is that not in here? It's just because that was when did we get that trailer? Like, that was probably like at
That was
least 2
so
years ago,
long
right?
ago.
I think it was probably 2 years ago,
So
to be
long
honest.
ago.
Yeah, and because this was supposed to come out before Venom 2, No Way Home.
Yeah.
This movie was done a long time ago. But anyway, so we had heard that Michael Keaton was doing reshoots for something Sony related, and this clearly was it. So the first scene, we're just got a shot of New York, right? And we're wondering what's going on. And then you see the sky and you see the effects. It's purple and it's breaking, much like we got in No Way Home when all of them were breaking through and coming out. Now, the way I laughed, because I did not want Venom in the MCU. The way I laughed when Venom was in the end credits for No Way Home and they just kicked him back to the Sonyverse. I meant, man, that's funny. That's great. This is a reverse where, man, and Michael Keaton doesn't care. But like for me as the fan, what a reverse feeling where you take Michael Keaton, who is in the MCU universe. They have now plucked him from that universe and just put him down into the Sonyverse. And boy, does that suck. And I will say that, okay, it works as a reason to get him there. That makes sense. I guess that just happens from that spell at Doctor Strange, that they were swapping multiple people and everything like that. I think Sony's just being loosey-goosey with the rules. I will say, before we get to the second end credit scene, but I like the explanation of, oh, this man just appeared and we're gonna go to trial and we're gonna release him. It's like, yeah, but he still appeared in police or prison clothing, whatever, and he
Pretty
appeared in your
sus.
prison. Yeah, it's sus. But my favorite thing, the first thing this man says is, well, I hope the food's here better. This man has a wife. He is a child. He has just been kicked to a whole nother universe, and it does not seem like this guy gives zero fucks about his family. So it was a weird way. But Dylan, what do you think about the way of getting Michael Keaton into the Sonyverse?
Yeah, it's strange. I hadn't really considered the fact that this means that he like no longer exists in the other one.
That's what I would
universe.
insinuate from here. Yeah, because a portal opened and he got kicked to this one, just like Venom, you know?
Yeah, I guess there's really not much to chew on. I didn't even really think about that. Yeah, he's got a lot going on back in his world, and he doesn't even care about that. So it is very strange. But yeah, like I said, like that stuff was so long ago that I kind of forgot. I wasn't expecting him to be in this. Like maybe it was mentioned in the Discord or something, but I just kind of forgot about that. But it's I guess I just don't feel much. I don't know if I'm supposed to feel really negatively or really positively, but I'm just somewhere unexceptionally in the middle. Like I just don't really care either way, I guess.
Kirklin Patzer.
Unfortunately, that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, from the moment I sat down in that theater, I had that Michael Keaton moment in my head, and I don't want to say I felt betrayed, but I was extremely disappointed that like I knew I was at the end of the movie, and I'm just like, that scene was just plucked out of here. Like, okay, I guess I know what I'm getting my end credit. And then when it shows the tear in the sky, I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen here? Maybe a Venom something, and then it just goes to Toombs in his cell, and he just drops that like Bugs Bunny quote. It seems so cartoony in my eyes. That's why I bring up Bugs Bunny there. It just seems so strange, and then it just like cuts. And I actually just had to like chuckle to myself. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like what like a tacked on end credit scene to just be like, okay, this character is no longer in the MCU. People, now he's a part of this. Like, I just couldn't believe that. And then what followed afterwards was just like DLC to that moment. It was just so strange.
Well, I guess
I felt really upset, honestly, that I just didn't have Keaton in the main film. Sorry.
Because I'm just wondering like when this decision happened, because obviously they probably changed how they were going to incorporate that character after somewhere down the road when No Way Home. Maybe it wasn't out yet, obviously, because that would be pretty recent. But like obviously they had access to know what was going to happen in that movie. Sony did, and they could make the change. Like I wonder when. I guess you mentioned that reshoots. Like that must have all been part of the reshoots, right?
It was, because if you think about it, if this movie were to come out before No Way Home like it was supposed to, and this portal just opens and Michael Keaton drops, you're like, what the fuck is going on here? So I think there was original scene of Michael Keaton in the end credits or near the end of the movie, and they just swapped it with this because the order of the films changed. And oh, this is how we can get him there. Because go ahead.
Originally, what would it have been then? Would it still have been like an interdimensional thing?
No, I think originally they were still trying to insinuate that Venom and Morbius were in the MCU. But I think No Way Home set that precedent of no, there's a clear line. You guys are there, we're over here. So I think that's what they were doing. Yeah, because if you watch that first trailer, he's like, Michael Morbius, looks like you dropped the whole good guy thing, and then he says, "What's up, Doc?" Like he's big Bugs Bunny guy in this universe, apparently. But they were insinuating that Michael Keaton knew Michael Morbius previously. So I think that changed somewhere along the ways, the whole universe thing, which I, again, prefer because I think that is a bit better than I don't like the idea of Morbius and Venom being in the MCU. But if they're in some like pocket universe they could travel to, then sure, that's fine with me because then it doesn't affect it quality-wise. So then, oh, man. So we get this scene. Jared Leto, who can fly with bats, is driving this nice car around wherever. I don't know where the fuck he is. I guess he abandoned that lab. I guess he like abandoned that lab that he took over.
He's into sports cars and rock and roll now.
he is Tony Stark. he took all his money. But anyway, so he driving.
His money, whatever money Milo had, probably went to Morbius.
Man, what a fucking what a kick in the nuts. He kills and then gets the money.
That's why he did it in the end. Yeah,
he could have saved him. He's like really aimed for the heart. You watch a lot of Dexter.
But anyway, so he's driving around and he's looking to meet somebody. So he pulls over, he gets out of the car, and he's standing there, and there's like a big gust of wind. Now, Vulture's suit is pretty big. I didn't know it was this fucking big, that apparently it's just a tornado. But anyway, so he looks off in the distance, and at first I was like, what's going on? Because it's like something, it looks like something's coming out of the ground. I was like, what the fuck?
I thought it was Shocker for a moment.
I was like,
I was so confused.
I was confused too. I'm like, what are we getting here? And then when you get close, you kind of see some green and whatnot, and it's Vulture. Adrian Toomes. He lands down. It's clearly not Michael Keaton in a suit. It's clearly some random fucking guy in a Vulture
There's
CGI
a reason that
suit.
the helmet didn't come off.
Yeah, and Michael Keaton is somewhere like Adam Driver and Rise of Skywalker in his closet over Zoom, like recording his lines because it didn't sound good. And I've seen we've been through so much, right? We've been through Ben Affleck's Batman finding a thumb drive with Aquaman and Flash, and that's setting up the Justice League. We've been through Amazing Spider-Man 2 with the Man in Shadows. He's an Oscorp. And he walks by this wall of like Scorpion, Doc Ock, and it's like, oh, this is Sinister Six. I think this is definitively the worst setup for any sort of team crossover ever. He lands, and this is verbatim, pretty much what he said. Hey, I still know how I got in this universe. Something to do with Spider-Man. I've been looking into you. I think we should team up and do some good. And Morbius goes, interesting. And you cut to black. One, they're not even trying. Him literally just saying we should team up. What? Why? What does that even mean? Like I said, I always thought that Justice League BVS thumbnail thing was bad. That's a million times better versus we should team up. And then he also says to do some good. This guy's a fucking Michael Keaton, he's from Homecoming. He's a bad guy. Like he's not the worst, but he still is a criminal. So why is all of a sudden he wanting to do some good? It was so weird and so shoehorned. And that was like the Venom end credit when I got the Carnage. I went, oh, this isn't good. This is like, man, this is just not, if Feige does not get involved at all, this is just going to be a mess. And I guess our Sinister Six right now is looking like Michael Keaton's Vulture, Jared Leto, and obviously probably Tom Hardy. But yeah, Dylan, what do you think of them starting to obviously set up a Sinister Six team? Why are they even sinister if they're doing good? Let's do some. He could just said, let's team up.
The good part is, I took that as like very facetious. Like he's saying that, but really what he means by that is like, let's go fuck up Spider-Man. Like when he said good, I took that as like a sarcastic tone. But you're right. Like it was very Zoom call closety. So it's like, it's hard to get too much and you don't see his face. So it's hard to see. Yeah. The face would have gone a long way to see like what he intended with that statement.
Yeah.
But I definitely took that part differently. But you're right. Like the writing of that is, it's just like, it's like when you put in a script just like as a placeholder line, right? Like, okay, the point of this scene is to set up a team thing, and so you just write that in there, but then they never went back and iterated on that and actually made it interesting or in any way, because why do you have the word team up? Like that just so it's so cheesy. That's
how GeekVerse started. You guys want to team
up? It's
up?
like the animated show, and I love the animated show, but it's like, it's that level of like, you know, Saturday morning cheese that does not fit like the tone of Morbius of the movie, which was I mean, took itself very seriously. Whether or not it succeeded, that is a different argument.
And obviously, we only learned a little bit about Michael Morbius, but I didn't think of anything in this movie that would just make him team up with some random guy. Like, I really didn't get that sense that he was such a recluse when he's like, interesting. Why is it interesting? And even if it's like you say, where, oh, he's having some fun with the word good and it is to fuck up Spider-Man or something. Why would Michael Morbius want to fuck up Spider-Man? Like, it just like they made Michael Morbius seem like a pretty nice guy. So the fact that he is like teaming with this very shady individual, none of it makes sense. It's all over the place.
No, it doesn't make any sense. I was waiting for the line to like basically just carbon copy what Lucian said to him like earlier. Like we can just go have some fun. Like it was just like, okay, he just killed his best buddy, and now some random guy who clearly looks like a fucking villain just comes up. It's like, let's go cause some bad. And now it's just like, yeah, let's do it. Like it just goes against everything what Morbius was kind of like his alignment for the movie was like, I don't know, he's not an evil character. He's kind of chaotic when he's vampire, but like he's definitely not an evil, at least from the main film. And then at the end he's just pairing up with, you know, he doesn't know that he's a villain from the MCU, but us the viewers does. Like, and the line delivery was just so cheesy, corny, as you guys mentioned. I was almost waiting for him to be like, we just got to find 4 more and be like, viewers, Sinister Six, they're coming. Like, it's just so bizarre to me. And again, that was like, I like that first end credit scene just had me like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like that's like what we're getting. And then the next one was just like even more so like downhill, and it was just. I just had to sit there for like a few minutes, and then the credits were coming. I'm like, I'm not even fucking waiting for this third scene if there is one. I gotta get out of here.
Would you have been so pissed if it was Andrew Garfield though? Like he would have been like that setting, and you would have missed that. You know, that would have been a bummer. But like the thing is, like
As I said, yes.
yeah,
Tony Stark appearing. Yes, I would have been pissed. Anyone like that.
The Sinister Six already as like a team or like the leads is already jarring without Spider-Man's. Like it feel like it doesn't work, but they're gonna try. So that's why it already doesn't feel natural. And then this scene makes it feel like even more unnatural. Like, yeah, let's team up. And it's the same thing as anytime we do talk about like all these rumors, like they're trying to do Garfield and he's going to be in the Venom verse. It still is like, yeah, but even then I don't want to see it because like same thing as Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock. It's like, there's no reason for them to fight really. They're just like that. You've made Venom a hero. So it's the same thing as this when Morbius, this whole movie is showing that he's a decent guy. He literally has said that he has thought about killing himself just to stop bad things happening. Now he's going to team up with random like multiverse guy. And it just feels so forced. It just, and that's where what worries me is just like Amazing Spider-Man 2, when it's just like they're throwing all these things, Rhino, the suits, Goblin, Electro, to get like, we're going to rush so we can do our team up thing. That's what this feels like. Instead of earning it, instead of maybe they could have put Michael Keaton throughout this movie. No, it's just, he's there asking to be a team. I don't get it. And again, it just worries me. It doesn't make me excited for the rest of this universe, even though I didn't hate the movie. It just goes, oh, this is what we're leading towards. Like I like Michael Keaton a lot, but it's just tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. Random multiverse guy. I love that name for this character.
That's what he's credited as. Just the way the Joker was unseen Arkham prisoner, he was random multiverse guy. So, and I really hope they don't make Martine a member of the Sinister Six. I don't hate the character, but I hope them like reviving her.
No fucking sense. It would
yeah,
make no
but just because
sense.
they revived her, they might be like, well, we need to have a female on the team. She's a part of it. She's going to be one of the six. And even like, yeah, that I hope not. I hope it's, I guess, saved for a Morbius 2, but
yeah.
Fuck.
Okay. Anything else on the end credits?
So got Madame Web is in this universe, right? Is that the next thing? And what else is in the pipeline for the Sonyverse?
No, the next thing is Kraven the Hunter, Dylan. I'm not sure if you've heard about this.
Right,
Kraven's
I probably
in his own
have, but I
movie.
kind of forgot. Is that have been cast yet, or is that
they're filming right now? Yeah. So
shit.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Quicksilver in the MCU, is Kraven the Hunter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor. let me look at this guy again.
Everybody had
exactly like Kraven the
yeah,
Hunter.
everybody had the same reaction. Like this, this is Kraven, eh? This is Kraven.
This guy. Going. He's also in some other movie that I saw. There was a trailer before.
Yeah, Bullet Train.
Because I haven't seen him with like facial hair like this. He looks like a very different guy.
Supposedly that is a Sony movie, and the rumors were when Sony saw him in that movie, that led him to getting cast as Kraven. So take that for what you will. But so Kraven,
I love these villains so much. It's such a bummer, like where they exist. I know it's been like a few years of that now, but it's still. When I see this, I'm just not excited for. When is Kraven coming out? This is
they're filming now, so I imagine maybe either late next year or early 2024. So that seems to be the next one, and then I think Madame Web, because there's been lots of casting recently, and I think that there's going to be a Venom 3, so you got that happening, and I guess Morbius 2 all depends on this weekend. So I think right now the ones that are up to bat is Kraven the Hunter, Madame Web, and a Venom 3. And I feel like there's some, and maybe like there's technically, we'll see, there's room, like people are thinking the Garfield thing, right? So if you get a Garfield film, that the working theory is, so the director of people, you guys probably missed this, but the director did a Q&A last week about this movie. He spoiled
Morbius director
of Morbius. Yeah. He spoiled the end credit scenes. He literally talked about, one of the scenes is Michael Morbius trying to set up the Sinister Six. He put this out a week before the movie. Wow. So I kind of had a little idea of that, but he had said that the person, the questionnaire asked, hey, who is the Spider-Man in this universe? And he says, well, I can't reveal that yet, but I'm heard that it should be coming out soon. So everyone's working theory that Andrew Garfield is going to be plucked and used as their Spider-Man. So if you get that would be a fourth project in the film. So about 3 to 4 projects going right now that are rumored to filming. So
there you go. Look at that.
Kraven the Hunter, baby. Yeah, Taylor Johnson. Yeah, it's a good one. Dilmas, final thoughts on Morbius as a whole as we close out here.
You know what I'll say, man? Seeing the Nope trailer in theaters, holy shit! I cannot wait for that movie. That is gonna be good. And then this other movie, Men, I think is what it's called.
Yes,
that looks
one.
awesome. I am
Yeah.
really excited for that now.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's a creepy ass trailer, man.
I didn't
Yes.
get that trailer, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
And then
I'll
the
have to look it
Spider
up.
was the Spider-Verse. Like, when did that trailer come out?
Couple
Was that a
months
while
last
ago?
year. Last
Yeah.
year, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I just never watched it. I guess it
Mhm.
passed me by. But
Yeah.
anyway, on Morbius, going back to the main topic. Yeah, I feel like it ended up really just being negative the whole time, and I said at the top that there were some things I liked, so hopefully those things shine through because there was some stuff to enjoy here, but overall just very messy. But this was a really fun review. I think this is these Sony movies end up being like that usually, where they're so messy that there's a lot you can kind of break down. So yeah, I think I've kind of said it all. Morbius, not one I will be rewatching at any point in my life. I'm gonna say that and pretty confidently believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in a difficult spot with this because I remember the very first time we watched Venom, I really enjoyed it from like the theater going experience. But anytime I rewatched after, it was awful. That movie, I think I gave like a 6. I would give this like a 6.1. I'd give it a little more above Venom because my thing is I would watch this again if I had to over the Venom movies, just because the humor of those after the first time, the second one's off, but that first one, I think the humor just gets like kind of grates on you. So I kind of like, even if it's I prefer a bad, like, I guess a movie trying to take itself seriously to a bad movie that thinks it's funny because I'm just not laughing. It's kind of like Venom to me is like all the detective scenes, but that's the movie. So yeah, like this is like a 6.1. It's something that I wouldn't fail it. I had an enjoyable enough time with it. I thought Jared Leto was solid. I thought there were some good concepts. I thought Matt Smith again worked his ass off for a character that is so boring, generic. I had a fun time with him doing that. There was some cool. There is maybe like one or two cool like action shots. Really, I'll bring that down. There's nothing really. There's some cool concepts I think they didn't grasp. So yeah, I would actually pass it, which I did not think. I thought, and who knows? Again, though, this is not one I will rewatch. Like Venom, I did. I mean, okay, I won't say that because I do have kids. They're growing up, so I imagine there's gonna be a point in my life where I'll be showing them all this stuff. Right? They've already watched some of the MCU stuff, but I think there's gonna be a time once they're old enough to go, hey, I want to start this from the beginning and get like the real concept of that. Depending how much Sony and MCU mix it together, there might be a time where I have to show them these movies. So, but if I have to show them these movies, it'll be like that's why, not I'm going to turn on Morbius, where Venom, I had that idea and I've never done that again. And Venom 2, I've never watched again. So yeah, like a 6.1. I give it a pass. That's a C. That's about right. I don't need a Morbius 2. I'm fine if Jared Leto's in a Sinister 6, but I do not think that will be a good, like a well executed plan. So there you go. Kirklin, is your score above a 3.8? Well, you said yes. So where is it?
That was my spoiler in the spoiler-free section.
3.9.
Yeah, no, I think Jared Leto surprised me with just him embodying the role of Morbius. And there's lots of moments.
Embodying, I'd say, is like a loose term there. You know, you're making him sound like he's Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool over here. You know,
I'm trying to be generous.
Okay.
He filled the shoes for the character. That's a better way to say that. But yeah, no, I ended up liking it. There's many moments in the movie where I thought like, you know, if this was like a villain, like opposed to Spider-Man, I think I'd actually like it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't think I would have had those moments of like him and Matt Smith walking, you know, in the streets of New York, just like being friends. And like, I really like moments like that. So I kept like making these arguments of like, this movie, it's not like necessary for the growth of the MCU, obviously, because now it's in the Sonyverse, but like it's still, I'm okay with it being its own its own title, especially since it's not like bringing any of my boys down, you know, Spidey or anything like that. Maybe Venom in the future. They're pretty much tied the same. Just Vulture.
Yeah, bro, it did bring Vulture down. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
he had to like fall on the sword for all of us.
Yeah,
to
for
make
our
sure.
sins.
Yeah, to make sure they didn't interact with the MCU. It's like Michael Keaton, go have some fun over there. All right, just pay me.
But yeah, Travis, you said it. Matt Smith, I thought he really brought it. The writing really wasn't the biggest fan of. I thought like the overall story was something that's definitely been done multiple times before. I really like the CGI around the character Morbius and like the action sequences before the end cement mixer that we had was really great in my opinion. But I think I just really, really, really hated the opening of this movie. Like I just thought it was so messy and just back and forth. Just with the story, like just the time jumps. Like we were here, then there, and then like it was just really messy for me in the opening sequences. But I will pass this movie. I think I brought up the comparison with Venom earlier. On like Venom, I had like attachment to that character,
Yes.
so it hurt when it brought it down. But like the Venom 1 movie going experience, like we all saw it together with Taylor. Like that was a fun time. I was just laughing out loud. Seeing this alone definitely didn't have that same effect. Me looking at the old guy next to me, he wasn't really laughing with me.
You want to team up? No, sir, I do not.
That's when he was like your guy in the theater. As soon as the credits came up, he was just out.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I didn't care for the character as much as Venom, so it helped me not be like, what are they doing to my boy? But I think I'll give this one like a 6, just a nice flat 6. Can't really remember what I gave Venom. I imagine it's
10.
too
It was
high.
10.
Yeah,
It was a 9.5.
well then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Venom 2 definitely wasn't up there, but
Higher than Dune.
but yeah, I'm not itching to rewatch this, but I definitely will throw it on one day that I can just have like something on the background. Maybe I'm doing
Really?
some
Wow.
housework. You know, when it's on Netflix or something.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, because I want to see him tear. I was gonna say tear ass. We didn't see that.
That was the cut love scene. Oh, you like to eat things, huh, Morbius?
just gushing.
No,
He just picks her up.
please no.
That's a great way to end it.
Yeah,
Great way to end the episode.
there's
Great
no
review,
better,
boys. That was so much fun.
This was a very fun one. No higher note to go out than on that one. Links down below has everything. Thank you very much for listening. Let us know on the YouTube, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Discord. Obviously, people are already talking about Morbius in the Discord. I cannot wait to talk to people about this movie and see what
on
they
the After
think.
9.
The
I'm
YouTube
excited
Yeah.
for
was
that.
pretty quiet tonight, though. That's for sure.
It was, yeah, it definitely was not bringing in the numbers
Yeah.
there, but yeah, it's out next After 9 at the end of April. I'll be excited to get everyone's thoughts. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to produce this podcast with you gentlemen and for you the listeners, and I promise the next time you hear from us, not be boring.
Peace.